by the sound of violence.
I mean, this was just phenomenal. This was like Argo, where acting was so good that it kind of affected the real world. I mean, not only was Ivan Kutalaba like such a good actor that he convinced a referee to stop a fight.
An MMA
he was such
ref.
a good actor that he convinced an MMA referee to stop a fight.
To stop a fight standing.
I know.
It
Can you
was-
imagine what kind of presence this guy has as an actor?
Put this
Like,
man on
what-
the stage. He's so compelling.
Yeah, I mean, with just a few motions of his body, he can accomplish what a regular person getting completely buzzsawed and smashed into the fence by hundreds of punches and going face down in a pool of their own blood, like, can't do. He can do it just by wibbling. Like, what a remarkable man.
It really just...
And he's then so insanely upset at his own acting skill afterwards.
Oh. I imagine Kutalaba in a movie puts on this tear-jerking performance, and then he's just running around the theater screaming because he realizes people are crying. No! It was fake!
What up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another Sound of Violence podcast. We are an MMA podcast that talks about the MMA podcast you should catch, skip, and can't miss each week. I am Pulver, and I am back yet again with my co-host for another rare Friday night recording. Chris Madaffer, how's it going, man?
Well, it's not going to be rare anymore because I always have Friday off now, so that's probably what I'm going to shoot for, realistically.
I
But
love
what
Friday night
does
recordings.
is that I work Saturday 12 to 7.
Yeah, that is brutal.
Yeah.
So
But on that note, not too bad, man. Had a really nice day off today.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I actually have every other Friday off, which is the fucking business. I enjoy it quite a bit. But that leads us in well to our first segment. Why don't you, or I guess it's not even a segment. It's our super real, totally not fake sponsor segment. Chris, why don't you start us off with the Papa Vodka presents, Doug Stanhope presents, our super real sponsors.
I was going to say that, but I was like, wait, Pulver always says Pop.
And also, who knows, you couldn't,
I was like,
you couldn't fuck it up worse than I do.
I think it's because I've remembered you correcting yourself every time that I just know what it is now.
See, I have a panic attack every time as to which time it is, as to which one it is.
We should, you know what we should do?
flip a coin.
I think we've done this unintentionally. We had an episode where we kept switching up our lines. Not that we have premeditated lines.
Right.
Or we did do that one time. The one we always fuck up is like, we're back. Yeah, we are. And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's good. It's
But,
good stuff.
Either
Speaking
way,
of good stuff.
speaking of good stuff, this is a San Diego staple. I know a lot of people like to say, well, this beer's overrated now. And that's only because it's been good for a good while. It's back. $3.94.
Yeah, it's a good beer.
Yeah. It's always good.
It's great, and especially since AleSmiths will deliver cases of that for like $40.
Yeah, I went to Costco today and got a 24-pack for like $28. It's like,
Yeah, it's like they'll send it to your door in like a couple days. And it was like, yeah, it's crazy affordable. And like shipping and everything, I think it's like $40. It's wild. So, and also $3.94 is just like, yeah, you're absolutely right. San Diego staple. I really like the hazy too, which I was curious about.
And then the Hall of Fame edition, which is seasonal, it's like in the bomber. I haven't seen.
I don't think
that
I've had that.
It's an imperialized version of the regular one, so it's like it goes from 6% to 9%.
Okay, That's not like a crazy. I mean, it's still. I generally.
And you get more you get like more tropical notes. It's almost like a hazy, but it's still imperialized. It's just a lot of AB.
Yeah, I generally try to avoid a lot of the like the hot, like double IPA range stuff nowadays. When I was younger, I used to be all about it, but fucking,
yeah, that's why I can't do triples
when
when it comes to certain Belgians.
Yeah,
Belgians in general.
Yeah, Pliny is about like a right around the range when I'm like, all right, anything more than this, and it's too sweet for me nowadays.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I am drinking the opposite of a triple IPA. I am drinking Normcore Pills from Burning Beard.
Nice.
Right down the street from me, and Burning Beard's definitely one of my favorite breweries in the city. And yeah, Normcore Pills is just like a really straightforward Czech pills. Yeah, it's really good.
So I didn't tell you, I ended up, what's today, Friday? I went there on Monday.
Oh, nice.
And, yeah, I got
Was Angry Pete's there?
He was not there. But I went there because you told me get the Pilsner, so I got Normcore and I got Hot Mata, and I liked them both a lot.
Yeah, they're really good, right? Like they just do IPAs and they do Pilsners really well. Their Belgian stuff is actually really good too. Like they have a CE at the Nunnery and shit like that.
And like I said, I won't. Even though you've already figured out which brewery I work at, I talked to some of the brewers there and the beer tenders there, and they know the head brewer at the brewery I work at, and they're like really good friends with them and shit. So it's like, well, you guys should do a fucking collab.
Dude, they really should do a collab. That would be tight.
It's mostly on our end out there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you guys are like so small, and you stick to like such a regular release thing that like makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool as hell. But yeah, I'm a big Burning Beard fan. I mean, they've always been really cool, and they're about to have their new food truck out there. Punk. There you go. I got one on the beer fridge back here. But they also, I think, are about to open up a food truck outside their location called Punk Spears.
Yeah, and I think for a second they were doing their own food. Like someone was cooking up some shit.
Kinda. And they're still kind of doing that, I think. I think they're trying to do it officially with a license now, which I don't know that they weren't previously, but I don't know that they were.
Yeah, because I didn't realize how small their brewery was.
Oh, it's tiny, but that's kind of what's nice about it. Plus, it's like always the same 4 people who work there, and they're all sweethearts. I fucking love that place. It's like, again, like I said, it's maybe 5-10 minutes down the road from me. Ironically enough, there actually is a brewery closer than that, but I'm not as big a fan of them. But yeah, Burning Beard is great, and if you're ever in San Diego, check out their stuff, because I think you have to just go to the brewery to get it. I don't know of any. I mean, they distribute, but it's really local. I
imagine it's just East County.
Yeah, it's mostly like East County. There's, I think, every once in a while I see it in like Ramona or Julian, but like, that's odds are. Well, if you're ever in Julian, look for it. That's a possibility. But
I mean, like I said before, my family has a house in Julian, but we're only over there I'm only over there like every Christmas time.
Yeah.
So,
well, to be fair, that's when everyone's in Julian. It's a Christmas. Nobody goes during the fucking dead center.
Yeah, I just remember last year was dope because it snowed, which I had never seen snow in Julian, except for when I was a kid. And,
when I was a kid, yeah, I did.
But it was fun though. I was like, oh, cool.
That's
dope. I'm gonna chill my beer on top of a barrel that my dad set up, surrounded with snow, and I'll be back.
Can you guys tell we both grew up in Southern California?
Yeah.
Fucking snow is like
snow,
very
what's
novel.
That?
Yeah. 100%. Cool, man. Well, I guess you should get into format since we're not a beer podcast. Although we're getting real close. But let's see. I don't know much in the way of podcast news this week. One of them we will get to in the new show segment. The other piece of news is we'll get to this later in another show we talk about, but Fernanda Praches is kind of teasing that she has stuff in the works. Not confirmed that it's podcast related, but it sounds like it's podcast related. And it's not like immediately in the works, but it's something that's, getting worked on. So I'm interested and I'm curious, and I really miss her being in the MMA podcast space. So I'm really excited to see what she has up her sleeve. But that's all I really have for podcast news this week. I didn't catch a lot of other stuff. So on that note, Chris, do you want to jump us into the MMA podcast you recommend people catch this week?
Yeah, so just a my brain's not working.
This is the part where we can remember that Chris didn't have enough caffeine today.
Yeah, I only have catches. I don't like have any.
Dude, me too. Actually, I have 4 catches and I have nothing else.
So I just want to get that out of the way. Okay, so the first one is Believe You Me. I can't remember what the name was.
You know what? Is it the one with Gaethje? Because you can hold on to that pick for right now.
Hold on. Yeah, okay.
Actually, no, wait, you know what? That's a catch for me as well, so let's go ahead and get into it. It's Believe You Me, episode 246, with Justin Gaethje as a guest, and it's real good. Yeah,
I like this one a lot. Michael talks about how his son, Callum, is going to be training a Team Alpha Male, and he just told his son, he's like, well, your main goal there is you have to beat up on Chad Mendes. You just got to do it. And I was like, wait, Chad Mendes. I'm like, oh, that whole thing.
Yeah, since Chad Mendes got real mad at Bisping and him got real salty at each other.
Yeah, so that's funny.
Super funny.
It's also funny because Callum's way bigger than Chad Mendes. Well, I mean, I know he's still a kid, but
Callum's huge though.
Yeah, he's a big kid. He's not a kid. He's like 19. Whatever. He's gonna be a big guy. Yeah. I mean, look at his dad. Luis J. Gomez. Luis says, "I am fighting Jason Ellis."
That's confirmed, dude.
Yeah, and I thought it was hilarious because Michael was like, he's like, what the fuck, Mike? He's like, you told me this guy. He's like, yeah, no problem. And I look him up. It's like, this guy's been like pseudo training on and off for like 10 years.
He has head tats.
And he has head tats. Like, what am I getting into? It's like for anyone who's watched Ellis Mania or I used to listen to Jason Ellis' show when I had Sirius XM, an older job years back, and yeah, the guy loves combat sports. I don't think it's gonna go well for Lewis.
No, he's gonna get fucked up. He's definitely gonna get knocked out, 100%.
So good luck, baby boy, to Lewis.
That's right, doggy.
Yeah, they discuss Chris Weidman's performance, and Michael kind of attributes, what kind of pressure is Weidman under when he's been performing as of late. Because I know before his victory last week, what was it? He had lost like 5 of 6, something like that.
Something like that. I don't remember it off the top of my head.
They talked about Derek Lewis and having to go boom boom.
Yeah.
That whole thing. Curtis Blades called out Lewis, which that makes sense.
Yeah, I forget whose show. Oh no, you know what? It was on this show that Gaethje said he was watching the fights with
Curtis Blades. Yeah,
with Curtis Blades.
Yeah, he was at my house.
I'll fuck him up. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, Curtis, I'm gonna text someone right now.
Also, you know Curtis Blades and Justin Gaethje were smoking mad weed watching the fight. If y'all don't know, Gaethje is all about the wax life. That fool dabs on the regular, and he's brought it up in a handful of interviews. People are like, "Oh, really, Justin? You like weed?" He's like, "I mean, I kind of like weed. I really fucks with wax." You're like, "Oh God, dog." That is God, man. He is I can't believe somebody that intense also is just smoking mad wax all the time. It's a real dichotomy.
Maybe that's why he can smoke wax. He's already so intense. And
I guess, yeah. I'm guessing he's not smoking sativas. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That reminded me of some stupid meme I saw. It's the one where Ellen DeGeneres is like crying because she like got in trouble for her work environment thing.
Right. She's gotten in trouble for the thing she's been rumored to be doing for 20 years.
It shows her crying like with his face, and it shows. Like a meme, it shows like a blunt in her hand, and it's like, please, bro, sativa doesn't make you, or no, it's like, please, bro, sativa makes me paranoid. I can't smoke this, bro. Please, please, please. It's like it's like, well, that's kind of like me, except I'm not crying. I'm just like, yeah, no, I can't do that.
No, we have a couple buddies who, when they smoke sativas, have girlfriend Karen full on panic attacks if it's too much of a sativa.
And that's me, like I can't.
See, I need sativas to stay awake. Otherwise, I'm fucking 100% passed out.
Yeah, Justin said, I'm not going to want to pick a winner this weekend. However, I'm going to pick Stipe anyway because I know DC's going to pick Khabib.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and then I remember he talked about his gambling mentality of betting on himself. I love the confidence he kind of... That was just kind of just flowing through the interview.
Yeah, definitely.
Very sure of himself.
He had some
I mean,
crazy
yeah,
quotes
if
in
I
this.
beat up Tony Ferguson, I'd probably be very sure of myself too.
For real. He had some crazy quotes in this episode, too. He talked about stuff like, you could bring submissions to the table, but who the fuck needs that? When he's talking about, like, oh, you know, like, you have high-level striking, high-level wrestling. I mean, you could bring submissions to the table, but who the fuck? I believe also this is the interview where he talked about bringing a zone of death to Habib, and just like he says his entire style is based on creating car crashes, which he's said in a lot of interviews over the years, and man, it's fucking terrifying. So yeah, man, really interesting. He also talks about doing a lot of road work and jump rope and like jumping a lot of rope in this camp, trying to work on his footwork, which is, I mean, man, if you are hyped on Gaethje, that is exactly what you want to be hearing. He said everything right. He talked about needing to stay off the cage. He talked about working on footwork and feinting, working on distance management. It's real interesting. And then Bisping straight up says he might bet $1,000 on Gaethje at a 2-1 underdog. I'm like, bro, I'm pretty sure John Anik got yelled about this exact same thing like 4 years ago. So be careful about how you talk about that on the show.
Yeah. Might be potential conflict of interest.
Well, no, that's, I mean, the UFC.
I don't know if Bisping's on the card calling it.
No, it doesn't matter though, because Karen Bryant and Anik have both gotten talkings too from the UFC about picking fights. That's why they don't do it on their show anymore, and they just deflect whoever the guest is or whatever. That's why that's why the Duck Ian Parker is on the Anik and Florian podcast. It's because Anik can't pick fights since he's working for the company.
Yeah, it makes sense. You gotta be as unbiased as you can.
Yeah. Well, and I think they're a little bit better about it with fighters, but they're still like, I bet if you were just straight up being like, yo, I want to put $1,000 on Gaethje, like, probably not going to be cool with that, my guy. Yeah, man. Overall, though, really good episode. Like, that show is so hit or miss, and this is a great example of how when it's on, it's real good. And part of that might have been that Lewis was quiet for a lot of it. Maybe it's coincidence.
I noticed that. Yeah.
But it was real good. Let's see. Well, I guess I should bring one up. I will bring up the show that was our intro this week, Heavy Hands, episode 329, which was really, really just... It was a lot of fun. For everything from Phil's ultra-confident pick in the main event, even though they've both gotten the last two DC Stipe fights completely wrong. And I really like their discussions on Cheeto and kind of like comparisons in the like close decision loss to Yadong, and then like having to face someone like O'Malley, who has really looked pretty rough in the third round. And Cheeto's a guy who, of course, is a slow starter, but looks real strong as the fight progresses. So, should be really interesting. Also, their discussion of Jan Kutalaba, which unfortunately, but maybe it's the universe's way of protecting a great moment in time. The Jan Kutalaba fight got called off because Jan got the Rona, I'm pretty sure. So he is out against it's Ankalaev, right?
Yeah, I believe that was the fight.
Yeah, and so we are forever left with the moment in time where Jan Kutalaba is the greatest actor in all of MMA, and I'm here for it. It's fucking, yeah, it's real good. Just a really good episode and a great example of why that show's fantastic. Also, I really like their Dodson versus Merab breakdown. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of John Dodson. But...
Yeah. You just hate magicians?
I liked him when he was on Tough, except for him being a snitch and a narc and all that, or whatever. It's a reality show, so you actually really should only look out for yourself, so I actually don't blame him in hindsight.
I just realized...
No, I just don't like... He's not good at making his style of fight happen. He's just like...
Well, no, his style of fight is frustrating to watch, is what you mean.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, I'll go like this. And then kind of bull rush in and just...
Yeah, well, no, he's okay. I had a panic attack because I was like, wait, how can John Dodson be the magician, but also Marlon Moraes be the magician? They're both just the magician because MMA is terrible at nicknames.
I mean, yeah, it's basically Marlon Moraes. It's probably just a language barrier translation issue where it's like,
I think
in
it's
Portuguese, where are you? I'm the magician. And they're like, you're the magic man. All right.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably, actually. That's 100% correct. And also, it starts with an M, so... Yeah, Dodson Style is incredibly...
Or is it Marlon Magic Moraes? It's probably Magic, not Magic Man.
Maybe. Yeah.
I
maybe.
either call him Saitama or Krillin, or One Punch Man, Saitama.
100%. Yeah, no, but Dodson's style has always been frustrating. I mean, his style has always been based on, I'm going to circle until you are, like, leaning over, your chin is out and you're chasing me. And then I'm
go
gonna
ahead
throw
and shoot on me, I'll stuff it.
And then I'm going to throw 14 left hands in a row and see how this goes. Which, I mean, it's worked real well. Ask TJ Dillashaw how that shit goes. But, yeah, man. Anyway, you were saying?
Yeah, no, that's what I had for that fight. I know they said Dvalishvili needs to dictate wrestling and grappling control.
Yeah.
I mean, that's anyone really could say that they have to do it. They get someone like Dotson. It was good scrambling.
And even if he doesn't actually get the takedowns, he just needs to make Dodson continually react.
Yeah.
So then give Dodson's I could very easily see Dodson. I think Zane Simon actually maybe tweeted this out, but I could easily see Dodson struggling with just not being able to do anything because he's constantly having to fight off takedowns that are not actually getting the takedowns, and him just not really doing much and then getting really mad at a split decision. That all really checks out as far as I can tell. Cool, man. Well, on that note, do you have any other catches for this week?
Yeah, let's see. I'd say co-main event.
Yeah, CME was real good. Here, I got a number for you in a second, if you want to go ahead.
I don't have too many notes on this. I know they kind of right off. I just called it UFC 252 hype.
Yeah, I think it was episode 414.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was. They just kind of went ahead and talked about the main event. They said, how do we like Stipe's chances? They said, have you seen Daniel Cormier's recent interviews? They said they're not really sure because Cormier's kind of just,
Yeah, he seemed really tired and just kind of tired of being in camp, tired of a lot of stuff, which is interesting,
Yeah, DC kind of seems more hyper-focused on, well, this is my last fight, this is my legacy.
But then also, everyone around him is I think he's going to fight again. Javier Mendez keeps saying all week, I think
will he fight Ngannou?
I know, John Jones is what everybody keeps saying.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Dang, you'd got to be mad if you're Ngannou then.
100%.
Yeah. Should be interesting. Then they talked about Derek Lewis. They're like, where's he at? They're like, well, he probably should fight Curtis Blades. Because then it kind of gets you to realize, is Lewis a real top 5 talent?
Yeah. Well, and Derek Lewis said he wants that fight, so why not, right?
Then they talked about Michael Chandler joining the UFC potentially. I know you and I discussed, well, it's just that annual Michael Chandler just honeydick in the UFC just to get more money out of Scott Coker and Bellator.
Yeah, Jack Slack
Michael Chandler would never pass the USADA test.
Yeah, Jack Slack had a great bit about this week on his show where he was just laughing at everyone for buying the Michael Chandler gimmick that all happens every single time he's on his last fight.
I listened to Fights Gone By. I didn't realize there's one that recapped last week, and I listened to one a little bit today for this week.
222 is the one that recapped it.
Yeah. But yeah. Jack has the right take on that.
He's been shouting about it forever, and he's just you could see him losing it this week with everybody talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Chandler joining the UFC maybe 5 years ago would have been dope.
Yeah, I mean, there's still some super fun fights, but I just don't see it happening. I feel like it would have happened by now if it was going to.
Yeah, because Dana doesn't want to have to pay him.
Well, plus that's the other thing is I don't think the UFC thinks they're gonna make the money off of Michael Chandler that he's gonna cost. To be honest.
Yeah, because it would just be hardcore fans anyway. Most casuals would be like, who the fuck is Michael Chandler?
Well, and Michael Chandler brings fun fights, but like the UFC right now doesn't seem to be in the business of paying people big amounts of money for that are fun fighters. They seem to be in the business of getting whoever the fuck they can on a card for 5-5 or 10-10 or whatever. Like, especially if you'll get some of the fucking undercard for this week. Like, a lot of dudes who could be. I think Zane Simon and Conor Rebus pointed this out in the Vivisection this week. A lot of dudes who could easily be on Contender Series just on the prelims. So it makes you wonder why they're even doing Contender Series. But yeah, man, interesting. But I really like that episode of CME as well, though. They talked about the. I believe at one point I think it was Chad compares or maybe it was Ben. They compare the MMA media sphere to a high school lunchroom, like just all the interactions and everything, which I thought was real on the nose. And just a fun episode overall.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I'm real sad they're not doing their Kingdom podcast though going forward. They're switching to a different show. And
they do like one full season, that was it?
Yeah, they did a season and they let everyone vote who's in the $10 Patreon tier. And these fucking momos I probably shouldn't say that word since Joey Diaz uses it. And I think it doesn't mean nice things. But
definitely doesn't mean nice things.
No, I know. I always forget. And then
it's just fun to say.
I know. It's anyway. Yeah, it's not great. I need to stop doing that. But what the fuck was I just saying? Sorry, I got really distracted by Joey.
They're switching from Kingdom to something else because
right.
In the top 10.
So these motherfuckers didn't vote in Kingdom, and instead, when they started making votes, they didn't choose the obvious right choice, which was Justified, which was one of the options. They didn't choose that. That got like one of the lowest. I don't even know what the fuck won. I think it was probably some other movie franchise or director's work or something.
All I'll say is, like, if you're going to do anything that's a Western...
Oh, yeah. They've already done Deadwood. So
no, I know. That's what my point is.
You Justified is obvious number two.
You need Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah,
clearly.
100%.
Why do you think he got fucking cast in Mandalorian Season 2? They're going more of a Western route, and like, we need a new bounty hunter.
Well, and
spoiler alert, they already kind of released he's playing a bounty hunter, and it's like, he's playing a sheriff, which makes more sense. So he's basically playing space Western Seth Bullock, and it's like, I am 1,000% in.
Right.
Like, obviously. Yeah, it's like...
No, any way we can get more shows like Firefly, sign me up for, man. I am fucking here for it.
And also, shout out to the only Star Wars property that's good right now, The Mandalorian.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it's a real low bar at this point.
Yeah, and the only reason why it's good. The only reason why it's good too is because they got Jon Favreau and then Dave Filoni who did.
I didn't know Ari Gold was in the Mandalorian.
Wait, what?
It's a fucking really dumb Entourage joke.
Dude, I've only seen like a handful of Entourage, so it's just like...
You should go back and watch it because the main guy is supposed to be Ari Gold. Jon Favreau is supposed to be Ari Gold, who is supposed to be Ari Emanuel of WME.
Yeah, I know who Ari Gold's based off of, but god damn it.
It's real.
Either way,
that show sucks, by the way.
Dave Filoni was known for illustrating on part of King of the Hill.
Oh, nice.
He did another fucking show. I can't remember. If I remember what it is, I'll let you know. But it was like a super famous, and he was good for animated shows. And then he did like some Star Wars, Clone Wars, or Rebels.
Yeah, I heard good shit about Clone Wars.
And then John Paul was like, "Well, you clearly know all the Star Wars lore, so you're doing Mandalorian." He's like, "All right,
nice." That makes sense why it's really good story wise then, because Clone Wars is notorious for tying all that shit together in a really cool way, right?
And also think Jon Favreau, like, hey. You know who would be great on the show? Someone who literally hates Star Wars, Bill Burr. Just do it.
Yeah. Well, really, just get fucking Billy Bat to do fucking whatever he wants.
They call him Billy Blaster.
Do they really?
Yeah, well, I don't call him that, but like everyone on his podcast are like, "Oh, Billy Blaster."
Oh yeah, I've definitely heard
the
fucking
Star Wars.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, I thought you guys were a bunch of fucking nerds." He's like, "But you're actually all really cool." He's like, "I like Star Wars now."
That all checks out. That's all very, that all checks out 100%.
He's like, but also all of you thank my wife, because she's the reason why I actually did it.
Yeah,
I was like, well,
no, that checks out.
Got a good wife.
Nia's fucking dope. Cool. Well, on that note, let's keep on moving on. Is that all you had on CME?
Yeah.
Let's see. So, another catch from me this week, since, like Chris said, I have all catches as well. Since I don't know that anything necessarily stood out above the others, but everything was just really good that I heard this week. So another really good episode is Art Fight, episode 100. I think I first listened to the Art Fight podcast last week. I might have heard it like a long time ago, but the most recent one was the one I listened to, episode 99 with Chris Rini, and man, this is just a fucking awesome episode. Nancy Kidder, who of course is the professor at American University, who has been doing all the cool lecture series stuff about like a ton of different topics. And we've actually gone back and forth with her in the past about maybe doing something on bad MMA movies. Or I guess I could just say MMA movies. But she was on with Chuck Mindenhall. And everybody's drinking as well, since it's a celebration for the 100th episode. So, like, Nancy's drinking I think it's a mezcal and bourbon infused cocktail.
That sounds way too intense.
Yeah, Chuck's drinking hazy IPAs out of his kegerator. And the hosts are drinking, one of them's drinking a Pabst, I forget what the other one's drinking. And then also at one point, Fernanda Prochas and Matthew Polly both join as well. So Fernanda's on there drinking wine. It's just a really fun episode. They talk a lot actually about the end of the MMA Dream Team era at the Athletic, with both Chuck and Fernanda no longer being there, and just kind of how cool that era was and how abruptly it came to an end, which was really interesting. They talk about the end of the Man of the Myth podcast, like a lot of really inside podcast talk in this, which you gotta imagine I enjoyed the shit out of. But one of the best lines, Fernanda Prochas actually, believe at one point compares her podcast after someone references like, oh, it's kind of like it was obscure and kind of went away before its time. So I think she refers to actually as the Daniel Johnston of MMA podcasts, which is fucking brilliant. And it's absolutely, it's just so in my wheelhouse that I really enjoyed it. But yeah, just a lot of fun. Of course, Matthew Polly, if you guys don't know, he was on the MMA Beat way back in the day, but he wrote a book on Bruce Lee, and so they talk a lot about the 30 for 30 on Bruce Lee and kind of how that all went and his thoughts on it. He also asks, since he's writing it's kind of hinted at that he's writing a movie about his like a biopic about Bruce Lee based off his book, and he asked if there's an MMA fighter that you could see Bruce Lee fight, like a modern day MMA fighter, you can see him fight in a biopic, who would it be? And I was really cool to hear. Like,
I have my answer, but
it's going to be the lazy answer, right? Do I give a fuck about your answer?
I was afraid you'd say that, but I was gonna say I'd like to see him fight Henry Cejudo.
Oh wow, that is not one they mentioned.
That's my 100%. That's my
dude.
top pick,
Actually,
I think Cejudo has the speed to challenge him, and if he gets challenged, he's
in a biopic, not in an actual fight.
Oh, never mind.
In a biopic,
yeah,
to fight him in a movie in a biopic.
I mean, yeah, not Henry Cejudo.
Well, no, actually, I don't hate the idea of Henry Cejudo.
I mean, he's cringy as fuck. So
I know. Well, he would play like a really. Some of those dudes he fought in movies are like very much Henry Cejudo kind of villains.
So if you have it where it's like Chinese versus, I don't know if there's some Chinese versus Korea, but on the nose you could do Korean zombie fights.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
And Korean zombies intense as fuck.
Yo, that would actually be cool as shit. Korean, that's a really cool answer, Chris. I would have never thought of that, but that's a really cool answer. So their suggestions were two that made sense to me, but that I was afraid everybody was just going to immediately say Connor or like O'Malley or somebody.
Oh god.
Yeah, but no, their answers were GSP and Izzy. Which, like, Izzy...
GSP and Izzy, well, this is a movie, though. I keep thinking real fight.
Yeah.
Okay, movie, yeah. Yeah, because in the movie, Bruce Lee would clearly kick them, like, 10 feet in the air. That's right.
Oh yeah, 100%. No, but like you figure Izzy, you could do the whole Kareem Abdul-Jabbar kind of vibe again. They also mentioned John Jones was another thought. Like you could do the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Game of Death kind of thing going.
Yeah.
But Game of Death?
I think it's Game of Death.
It's the one with the tower. I always mix up the names on those things because they have the Chinese names and the English names. And also my memory is not great, which is why I have 10 pages of notes every show. I'm just kidding. It's only, I don't know how many. Oh, it's only 8 pages of notes. All right, but yeah, just a really good episode. Art Fight episode 100. Man, I'm really, really, really liking that show. Also, Chuck Mendenhall has a great home bar. I am pretty fucking jealous of it. As someone with a pretty dope, like home tiki bar, real jealous of Chuck Mendenhall's home bar. It is swanky as fuck. Cool, man. So let's see. Do you have any other honorable any other catches you want to throw out there?
Let's see. We already mentioned Heavy Hands, I believe.
Yep, 329.
I tried to listen to MMA by the numbers, but he was talking too fast, and then all the numbers that he was throwing out, I was like, what?
That's one of those shows that you have to be like actively listening. You can't like
I was
passively
doing something
listen
else
to it.
at the time,
Yeah,
so
it doesn't
it's
work like that.
Interesting though, especially if you're a statistician.
Yeah, I really like that show a lot, but it's one of those ones that like unless you're actively listening to it, it can kind of just like gloss over you like a wave a little bit.
Fights gone by, both the episode 222 and 223 were solid.
Yeah,
really I know good. He's like, Michael Chandler's pretending to be in the UFC again. That's hilarious. He talked about Derek Lewis's surprising ability to defend against Olenek submissions. And then also he said, Zabit Magomedsharipov claims he's the most ducked featherweight while Ryan Hall cuts himself in the corner. And he says, when I think of Bellator, I think of headbutts.
Yeah.
And just bullshit fights. But then again, I know Jack is not a Bellator fan.
Well, so he shits on Bellator worse than you do. I know. Which is pretty
at least I give credit to Bellator with certain matchups. But,
no, he does too, to be fair. He just likes shitting on the matchmaking. Which is why he does the all-in on... Yeah. I love that he does that all-in on Coker segment where he just parlays all the favorites on the main cards.
And then the last one I have to say is Protect Your Neck. The 252 breakdown was really good.
Oh, nice. I didn't get a chance to catch Dan Tom's episode this week.
He had a really good commentary on Chris Weidman and where he's at in his career. And what was really interesting, and my favorite part of his episode is he discussed Herb Dean. I don't know if it's been confirmed if Herb Dean is reffing the main event. I believe this is a thing. And the reason why what he was talking about is eye pokes. Eye pokes. Is Herb Dean ever going to actually take a point for eye pokes?
Nope.
And do we anticipate this happening?
Not. I mean, maybe if an eye falls out.
And he said what it's going to come down to is, I think they're just going to say, oh, it's DC doing hand traps or parrying.
Well, I mean, yeah, the mummy guard shit is always...
They're like, well, is Herb Dean... At this point, he has to be culpable for more criticism, and should we be
if
worried?
Herb Dean gets any more criticism, he's going to get burned at the stake.
He's like, we should be very worried.
Yeah.
That's fine. He's like, he highly anticipates DC eye poking the fuck out of Stipe and Herb not caring. Yeah, I can see that. And at this point, if that happens, it's like, dude, Herb Dean has to have some sort of... I don't know if it's punishment or sanction or fine or
time off is
time off. Just time off.
Time off and reevaluation.
Then Dan says, I don't see Sean O'Malley finishing Vera. He says a lot of it because Vera's already
I have a feeling Dan Tom's about to basically do my breakdown of.
But he also said, I'm a big fan of Vera, I admit, so I'm very biased.
Yep, that's 100% my break. By the way, spoiler for my breakdown of Sean O'Malley versus Vera.
Yeah, he's like basically like I think O'Malley's gonna try to hurt Vera with kicks to the body early 100%. On because he's so flashy with this shit and he just is very aggressive early. But he says it really comes down to how long could Vera hold down O'Malley and in what round is that going to happen. So we'll give our breakdown in a short time, or shortly, I should say.
Yeah, coming. I'm excited about it.
That's all I have for my notes in general. It was kind of a quick week for me. I tried to diversify what I was listening to. Some of the episodes, I was kind of like, I don't have any skips, but I didn't really No, I'm never gonna look for a skip. I just go.
I got you. No, and also like we've also, I think intentionally, I would say, I think we've even talked about this on the show, but we've intentionally kind of changed the way we do skips on this because it feels weird like shitting on people for doing a show. Like whenever it was different to do a skip when everyone was talking about Conor McGregor every week and everyone had the exact same take and no one was doing anything interesting. It's different to do a skip when everyone's stuck at home and there is just getting a podcast out there is kind of a feat in and of itself. So unless people are saying egregious health risky kind of shit, or unless they're actively being accused of rape, generally probably not going to end up with a skip. Unless if their ad model is fucking trash, then it'll be a skip as well. Because that often happens, or technical issues is kind of what skip is kind of changed from what it used to be.
This podcast not brought to you by Podcast One.
No, it is sure as fuck not. This podcast is we are basically doing a giant ad against Podcast One. That's essentially what this show is. This show is basically me saying to the world, fuck Podcast One, and they fire everyone who's worth a shit. And they stuff ads into everything terribly, and they ruined the Adam Carolla show. I mean, apart from Adam Carolla's 40-year-old white dude takes ruining the Adam Carolla show.
Hell yeah, brother.
Oh my god. Anyway, the other show that is a catch for me this week, I feel like we went on a whole thing there. But I have one last one, which is the Fight Site episode 23, which you guys will hear a clip of on the break. Hacksarized guested again on this episode, which he's guested on I think on a lot of their pay-per-view episodes, actually. And man, I like Hacksarized the more and more I hear of him. Of course, this is hosted by Danny Martin and Saram. I know I say Saram's first name wrong, so I'm not even going to touch his last name.
So you say it's Saram?
It's Sriram, and yes, I do not say it correctly, Chris. That is accurate.
So you say it's Saram.
I heard it. I was just gonna try and move on. Sure.
Yeah, I had to trap you there.
Chris, we're old enough to where I'm old enough to where I need to slow down on the puns. You're old enough to where you almost need to slow down on the puns. Once you pass 30, puns stop getting cute and they start getting real daddish. But anyway, it's a really good episode. Really solid breakdown.
When they get daddish, you have to put them to bed.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Fucking. I was gonna go for a "Don't Wake Daddy" pun, but you know what? Nobody even knows what that board game is anymore, and it just sounds creepy. So
I remember that. 1,000%. It's fucking terrible.
Yeah. Also, weird game.
Also, just gets the fuck out.
Well, and the entire game is based around the premise that a dad wears a nightcap. Which, what year was it that I was born in the fucking 89? What year was it when fucking that was happening? Oh my god!
It's so much stuff, but it wouldn't be let's say PC. So never mind.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. They used to have the cap all white, but they had to change it. The 90s. Anyway. So back to the Fight Site episode 23. It was just really good. I really like they intentionally focus so hard on technical analysis, which is doubly, I don't want to say funny, but I'm going to say doubly entertaining when it is a light heavyweight or heavyweight fight, especially when it's fighters that they are not big fans of. And so there's a lot of DC trashing in this episode, which in a very innocent and genuine kind of way, and that it's all just based on technical analysis and how DC's mummy guard is intentionally a problem and inherently the reason why the body shots were always going to work, and the fact that everyone's so excited about Stipe figuring out body shots against a guard that everyone was calling for him to throw body shots against it. It's real good. But one thing to note also on this is you'll hear the clip on the break, but Hacksarized had maybe one of the favorite explanations for why fighters lose often against people like Conor and O'Malley And I'm just going to say it like that. But, man, it is...
Like, he had to
It's
group
real
them
good.
together, right?
Well, yeah, he says, like, opponents of both Conor and O'Malley do the same thing, where, like, they panic when they're against the cage, and bad things happen. But the way he phrases it is fucking great. So, I highly recommend that. We also talk a bit about Rosenstrike versus JDS, and just how it's a pretty weak card overall, so...
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? The other line that I heard in this that I thought was really interesting that I've never heard talked about before. They talk about the dichotomy of DC's fight style being very arrogant as opposed to his personality being very humble. I thought that was
I
really
see that.
interesting.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really unique take that...
He's very
is super-
Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, well, and it's super obvious when you hear someone say it. You're like... Because he absolutely is very brash in that, like, he catches...
Oh, like, he'll just be standing like
He walks
this,
through
hands out,
shots,
and just
yeah.
be like, he's very fast, but then he'll just be like palm catching, aka
Well,
eye
yeah,
poking.
yeah. Well, and a lot of his game is just based off of walking dudes down and parrying.
I'm
shit
never
'cause he
gonna
can.
say someone deserves to get knocked out, but I definitely
Jesus.
think No,
DC
no,
of all people, not Greg Hardy,
no.
huh?
I'm not saying he deserved to get knocked out, but if there's any lesson to be learned, him getting knocked out based on his brashness from the last fight against Stipe,
True.
I can't imagine him trying to do that again.
Well, so
And that's a little bit of a mini spoiler for.
so here's
preview.
their counter argument to that during this episode, which I also found interesting is DC's answer to that going to be to not have his hands up by his head? Because that's also a bad answer for that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
If you just have your
DC's
hands low guarding your body too, well, then now your head's open, and then you just
Oh,
go up and pull
well,
your guard
and-
up here.
and that's
it's like
the reason
for him, he's gonna have to just be back distance, and
no, what?
well,
I see. I think 100. Well, we'll get into that later, but yeah, no. I think this is gonna be a weird fight, and it taking part at the Apex in a small cage, I think is a big factor. But yeah, I just really like their takes on it, and it was snarky in all of the most endearing vaping scooter gang kind of ways. So I enjoyed it quite a bit, and man, as much as I love DC, I love the anger. Not even anger. I just love the like disappointment in having to break down DC's game that comes from the Fight Site guys. It's man, it's real good. It's good stuff. Let's see. I did not listen. Like I said, I didn't have any skips or can't misses. However, I did listen to 2 new shows, but one of them was only kind of a new show. The first show I listened to is A Fighter's Chance, episode 12, which is hosted by Ben Haxton, Haxton, and Rob Macy guested. Who Rob Macy, you guys would know as the person who's heading up the MMAFA. I heard about this originally because John Nash tweeted it out. And also, I actually heard about A Fighter's Chance previously from when they had Gray Maynard on talking about contract issues with the UFC. I have some complaints about the show, but it's hard for me to kind of come up with a succinct way to explain them. Aside from, I wish the host would have researched a couple of things he was talking about a little bit more. But I think part of that might have been intentional. Like, it's hard to tell, especially when it comes to more academic hosts. Sometimes they ask questions they know the answers to present the topic, you know? Like, you see it, professors do this a lot. Like, they'll ask a question to an expert that they know the answer to so that the expert can expound upon that answer, right? Or expand upon that answer. Expound? Is expound a word? Did I make that up right now?
I don't believe so.
What word was I thinking of? Anyway, doesn't matter. Not important. You guys can tell the weed I've been smoking is evidently working. But
Dude,
yeah.
my brain's not even working for all my vocab bank. I'm like,
No,
God damn it! What's
By
that
the
word?
way,
Now you have me on
expand-
my brain all fucking tripped up.
expound is to present and explain a
Okay,
theory
so
or
it's-
idea systematically and in detail.
right.
So I fucking nailed it. Thank you very much. I don't.
I was gonna say elaborate.
My-
Can you elaborate?
Well,
on
see,
that?
my severe lack of confidence in my own vocabulary is the real issue here. But
It was
no,
weird. It sounded right, and then part of me is like, is it?
See,
and I question myself, and
yeah.
I'm like, okay,
Welcome-
obviously elaborate, but
Yeah.
to be fair, in the English language, there's like 5 synonyms for every unique word.
Well, and I do this. I'm even worse about it in Spanish, but I do the same thing in English, which is like, man, I might be mixing up 3 different words right now. Like indentate every once in a while will come out of my mouth, and I'm like, that's too many different words together. None of that is a real thing. Let's see. Anyway, so Rob Macy talks about originally getting involved in kind of the more association, like player association side of things, after his brother was in the MLB, so he kind of saw how it all worked, and then he had a training partner at a gym who signed with the UFC to fight Josh Thompson and made 2K and 2K to fight, and then was asking people in the crowd for like if they have any money so he can get a ride home kind of thing, which is fucking insane, but it's also the early like pretty tough days of the UFC. So it's interesting hearing kind of him get into the sport, and then they talk a lot about really technical details regarding both the MMAFA's like position on why it's more important to establish an Ali Act than it is to establish an association or a union, because classifying fighters as employees, they argue, is inherently contradictory because of the nature, or at least inherently like a conflict of interest almost, because that would require the UFC to be able to dictate where and when fighters work, which kind of doesn't really work with the way like independent sports, like individual sports works. And so it's really in depth and really in the weeds, but it's really interesting. They also talk a lot about wage share and the UFC's poor revenue split. A lot of talk about the antitrust suit. A lot of talk about people like Jorge who are holding out for money and then sign a one-fight deal to basically make short money, and the lack of actual negotiating power that fighters have. So yeah, it's really, really interesting, and I recommend it for anyone who's interested in any of the kind of legal side of things and possible implications with the antitrust suit. It's definitely really informative, and we haven't really heard a lot from Rob Macy in long form about this kind of stuff, so definitely worth a listen.
Nice.
Let's see, and then in the exact opposite vein, the other show I listened to this week that's a new show is kind of not a new show. It is called Shots Fired. This was episode 1. And Shots Fired is the new version of For the Hard Way, which was the split-off show from the WoCast featuring Mike from WoTV, G-Spot MMA, a.k.a. G, a.k.a. Gina, a.k.a. G from State Farm, a.k.a. fucking the 1,400 other nicknames she has, Chisongo and Kairos, and they are splitting off to do they're essentially they're an official version of this show. They're calling it Shots Fired, which is kind of just their roundtable show where they address, everyone brings a weekly topic and they kind of just go around, they do some interviews, and man, I fucking love this show. It's just really cool to hear. Like, I don't know where else I'm going to hear a roundtable discussion from two black people in from the UK, black lesbian from New York, and Kairos, who's a black dude from I don't know where, all talking about MMA and their own like
Kairos
experiences.
sounds Greek, but that's if I were to guess.
I mean, I know he's American as shit. I just don't remember what city he's from. But it's absolutely it's a really, really unique show. And also, they are just fucking funny as shit, I think is what I'm mostly underselling about this show, probably. They're just all hilarious. I mean, it helps that Mike is very formal British sounding and G is very not formal New York sounding. So it's a really good dichotomy. And then Kairos and Chisonga kind of bring their own unique takes to that as well. Man, I just have a great time with this show every time I listen to it. They talk about all the weird, semi-gay trash talk between Paulo and Izzy, and how, G...
Oh, like the Ricky Martin video.
And just, all the weird, semi-implied stuff around that. and just how it's like Gina. I think it was Gina that was like, just. I think she was the one that described it as like just weirdly gay. Just like it's.
I
weird.
mean, if I'm
It's
honest,
weirdly gay.
and I don't know, it doesn't matter to me what lifestyle either of them live, but I think it would be honestly like not hilarious, but great if they just like during the stare down, one of them just like did not the kiss of death, but just started like trying to make out with the other guy.
Oh, you mean awesome. You want the fucking Heath Herring Pride special is what you want?
Was that Heath Herring that punched the guy?
Yeah. I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Heath Herring.
Was that?
Pride.
I don't think that was Heath Herring.
I'm
no, because
pretty
he wasn't
positive, right?
Because I remember the guy who punched it was homophobic. He's like, "I'm not gay, I'm not homosexual." And like,
I'm almost positive.
Wait, I don't think that was Heath Herring.
Where they look right, he looks right at the camera. Yeah, it is 100%. Heath Herring knocks out Yoshihiro Nakao after he kisses him, because Heath Herring frowns at the camera and then KOs him.
Wait. No, I'm looking at a different one then. Hold on.
Okay, because I've got the video right here on muchosucco.com. that's fucked up.
Maybe it is him.
Yeah.
Oh no! Wait.
Oh, you know it's
him.
not Pride, is what it is.
I'm sorry. It is him. I apologize. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway.
This is hilarious. I remember I watched this like, when was this? 11 years ago.
Yeah, forever ago. I love Heath Herring, not because of that. I just love Heath Herring in general. His old Pride fights were a lot of fun.
That's fucking great.
Anyway, but back to the Shots Fired podcast. It's really interesting. They talk a lot about whether or not, like, what it would mean for the sport if a UFC fighter or just a big name MMA fighter came out as gay, and whether like how people would react, how it would change things. And it's just an interesting discussion. A lot of talk again about like female gay fighters getting way less shit than male fighters who are gay, and I believe the quote from G was, "They're not gonna fuck you, so why do you care?" Which is fucking great. Like Mike always has this like very proper, like he words things very like succinctly and he well thought out. And then G a lot of times G will just straight up be like, I mean. She kind of does the thing that Ashley did the other day. Like, I get why some of y'all confused. He's looking real pretty in then Snapchats or whatever. So, yeah, man, it's just great. I love that show.
God damn it. Sorry, I'm looking at comments on this video. Someone said...
Oh, don't look at comments on that video. No, it's going to be the most homophobic shit.
I'm only going to read the ones that are partially funny. Okay, that wasn't the return blow he was looking for. And
okay, that's clever.
Not cool. He should have gotten him a few drinks at least. Chivalry is dead.
Oh, God. Jesus Christ. Let's see. Anyway, also on that episode, there is an interview with Darren Stewart. And he talks about how the dude in his corner who was yelling at all the hood shit is one of his hood buddies. So it makes sense. The guy who was like just yelling like "fuck him up." So that's always a good time. They talk about Paige going to Bare Knuckle, and they have interviews with Luke and
I guess she doesn't work for you anymore.
I mean, dude. The saddest shit is that Malky Kawa conned Paige Van Zandt into thinking that Bare Knuckle was going to pay her millions of dollars over multiple fights. I think that promotion doesn't exist in 3 cards.
What's sad to me is I think it's her almost saying, well, let me show everyone that I'm tough. It's like, dude, you don't have to, like, do bare knuckle.
Well, and also, like, she must have gotten such a bad offer from Bellator. Because there's no reason.
What are they going to tell her? Oh, we have Valerie Loretta or some shit?
Well, no, like, why would you not even take a bad offer from Bellator? Like, your husband's in Bellator. Your entire gym has good relationship with Bellator. A lot of people in your gym are actively...
Isn't Paige the same weight class as Loretta? Just fucking fight her. I actually like her odds against Valerie Loretta.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know what to make of it. But anyway, Shots Fired, episode 1. It's great. It's on the WOCast feed, WHOA cast, since I did not know how to spell the word woe up until that for some reason. Because I'm a fucking idiot. Let's
just
see.
ask Black Rob, like, whoa.
There you go. No, how about the fucking... I literally... One of my favorite all-time group rap videos is the fucking Whoa video. Wait, no, that's Earl Sweatshirt video, right? Or is Woe the... I can't
does have
remember
a
if
song
Woe's the
called-
Odd Future one that's 12 minutes long, or if it's the Earl song. I think it's the... I can't remember. Anyway, I've seen it spelled correctly a billion times. Just never did
By
it.
the way, background music brought to you by roommate Trevor. If you can hear that.
Oh yeah, actually, just a touch when we're both quiet. I can. That's funny.
Yeah.
We mentioned Fights Gone By episode. So some honorable mentions. We mentioned Fights Gone By episode 223. That was solid. TSN MMA show episode 156. Really, really good interviews. And cool to hear Aaron and Joe back at it talking about stuff. Interviews with Stipe. Interviews with Stipe, DC O'Malley, and Corey Anderson and Jasmine. I'm going to go with Jasmine. And let's see. Real quick with Mike Swick, episode 69. Nice. He had Stephan Bonner on, and it's a bunch of old tough stories. So if you guys want to hear old tough one stories about Stephan Bonner sneaking out and going to get booze, where he bought a case of beer and Mad Dog 2020, and then when he got back to the fighter house, they caught him, so he only gave them the Mad Dog 2020 and threw the beer in the yard. You want to hear stories about Stephan Bonner going to strip clubs, or Jason Mayhem, or no wait, it wasn't Mayhem, it was Chris Lieben fucking some chick in the bar when they went out on the night out. There's a lot of crazy old stories on this one about the first season of Tough, and yeah, it's worth a listen for sure. Anik and Florian, episode 262. Really good episode of this show. Don't love the way they're doing mid-roll ads right now, where John Anik reads an ad, then they play a pre-roll ad, then they do another segment. That's not my favorite, but...
Fucking Boston, dude.
Yeah, but that being said, really good episode. It's interesting hearing Weidman talk about... hearing Ray talk about Weidman's win and Merab's fight that's coming up. He also tells a story about Pete Dragosel once finishing a bottle of vodka in 20 minutes, which is, you got to figure I'm there for that. I love me some Pete Sell. MMA Vivisection for UFC 252 is really good. They have some great jokes in there and a really good breakdown. The Bash for August 10th was really solid. Interviews with Javier Mendez, Ian Gary, and Mason Jones. Come on now. The podcast hosted by Trent Rhinesmith, episode 115 was really good. Talks about how Zabit rightfully didn't take a late notice replacement and how more fighters should do that. Talks about Bogatov getting released. And he talks about the controversy surrounding Edmund's flag, as well as the... he brought up an interesting point, which is that he thinks that ever since... So you heard that report that there was a baseball player who had cardiac issues after he got COVID? Anyway, there was a baseball player who had cardiac issues after he got COVID. And so Trent's questioning and kind of positing the idea that the UFC should be testing for cardiac issues, which, man, if that's the case, that's not a bad idea.
So I don't recall which baseball player had cardiac issues.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I know two recent baseball players on the Cleveland Indians, two very good pitchers for their team. They're two, main rotation guys. They decided to go out in the town and go to a bar, and they of course showed no remorse. They don't care. They're both morons. They just got optioned today, which means getting sent back down to the minors, which is ballsy to do. You're sending your two best pitchers down to the fucking minors. And the main reason why I did that is because one of their main other pitchers in the rotation, Carlos Carrasco, he literally had leukemia last year. So he's immunocompromised. And their fucking manager, Terry Francona, who's a legend, he was a World Series winner with the Red Sox in the early 2000s. He has some sort of immunocompensation or pre-existing condition. And so it's like those two idiots are like, well, fuck our manager and fuck our fellow rotation guy.
They should fucking dump those dudes. Fuck them.
So yeah, that I would say it's good on the Cleveland Indians. That takes a lot of balls,
dude.
To option two of your best pitchers, literally your two aces. You're like, well, fuck you.
That's
we gotta show that we're not fucking around. So
that's the kind of strong statement I wish this entire fucking country would take. Unfortunately, we're a bunch of goddamn cowards who have literal to no morals.
Like I told you, my pride got the best of me. I convinced myself to play fantasy football this year. I'm gonna regret it 1,000% about 5 weeks in, because in most major sports, Football players are gonna be way too horny. They're gonna be way too bored. They don't give a fuck. They're gonna fuck up and get COVID or get their team sick, and it's inevitable. And so, if you're playing fantasy football, I hope whatever your buy-in is, you have to be willing to take that as a loss. I'm just telling you right now.
100%.
Because at this point, you're playing with fire. I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna get into it because it's not on topic, but it's just like, come on, dude. Like, the two organizations that I will respect the most are the NBA and the NHL because they did it right, and there's still 0 cases, and they're both going deep in their playoff.
There's not 0 cases. There's still cases in all those, but they're as they should be separating people who do test positive.
There's not 0 cases, but there's 0 cases that are
they're handling
being
it properly.
At risk.
Right.
Yeah. So good on the NHL, good on the NBA. The NHL, the Stanley Cup playoffs have been great. The NBA bubble just finished. Yeah, they're just showing time and time again how you're supposed to do it in the just major sports realm.
Yeah.
So.
100%.
And props to the UFC in some aspect. It's a lot easier when it's 1v1, obviously, instead of a team sport. So
yeah, I mean, they still need to
too much credit.
They still need to fix their post-fight testing, which they have 0 of. And also, has anybody checked in on Spike Carlisle, whose opponent tested positive like a week or two later? And like no one's heard from Spike Carlisle in a while? Anybody checked in on that? No? Nobody? Okay. I feel like there's I also feel like fighters are the kind of people who because they're scared to lose their job will not say if they tested positive at a UFC event, which is inherently going to make everything more risky and a bigger problem. But what do I know? Also, shouts out to Ryzen for during their last event having the fucking refs wear a mask. No reason not to. No reason not to. They can hear fine. So, I don't know. Let's see. The only other honorable mention I had was Submission Radio, their UFC 252 preview with Luke Thomas. It was a fun one. I enjoyed it. And Luke at one point compared a young fighter's rise like O'Malley to it having kind of like the feel as you're watching it to like a Mortal Kombat tower. Where you're like, oh, he's not going to get past that dude. And he gets past that dude. You're like, well, he's not going to get past Goro. Which I thought was kind of a fun fucking very Luke Thomas comparison.
Punch him in the balls really hard.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, overall, a lot of fun. Let's see. Did you have any honorable mentions that's not MMA related this week that people should check out? Or well-rounded, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, that game I told you about, again, Fall Guys.
Dude, Fall Guys is a lot of fun.
I won
Just
2
a
dubs
feel-good
2 days
game.
ago before work. I have 3 total wins.
What of yours is
and
the most ridiculous bullshit I've ever seen?
What's up?
That comeback win you got is some of the most ridiculous bullshit
So
I've
the
ever
one where the
seen.
guy stood?
Yes,
and
it's such an idiot.
I got 2 more that are even worse.
Really?
Well, no, not worse. The other one is where, like, there's another guy, and it's just like, well, one of us is going to make it, and I made it. The other one was the grab the tail one, which gives you
that's
massive
some
anxiety.
bullshit, yeah.
I ended up winning that in the last 10 seconds because, like, I just went wide, and then they couldn't catch me.
I hate those
but
fuckers.
The one that I've choked on every fucking time, I was playing with Mike Ramirez. Shout out to Mike, the homie Mike.
Oh yeah,
my
Mike
brother
Ramirez.
and Mike. We were playing in a party.
He's unofficially sponsored a couple of these episodes that we've done.
I
if you
lost
know what
3
I mean.
times on the hexagon one, where you hop around at the end.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like on the platforms. Each
I'm
time
bad
I had
at
a
that.
chance to win, I fucking choked every time.
Yeah,
I cannot beat that one.
I'm bad at
So,
that. The
if I
rotating
was actually
ones, yeah.
good, I'd probably have like 7 wins by now because there's like 4 times. But it's all good. I mean, it's an easy game. It's just not a stressful game. You just get fucked up and you.
It's
play with
kind of
your friends.
stressful, dude.
It's
kind of
stressful. The hexagon one is the only one that stresses me out.
Yeah, well,
And the tail grab.
It's one of those games too. It's an inherently a stressful genre. The 99 or the whatever the giant like 1 versus 100 kind of map kind of thing. Yeah, I mean because it's not.
And I'm down to play it after we do the podcast. If you are.
We might have to do that. That or I don't know. I might go beat girlfriend Karen up in some fucking Kumite ass matches because she's decided she wants to start playing that game, and that's a mistake for her. She's about to get some
You're like this.
straight
Oh,
work.
do you want to play this game? Okay.
I was like, oh yeah, no, go ahead, continue to jam me 4,500 times. Let me know how that works
Yeah,
out.
you're like this. We'll play knockout mode, and I'll let you hit me twice.
Yeah. It's I intentionally try and pay. Well, let's just say this: I've been playing a lot of Jessica I. You know what I mean?
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go, evil indeed. Let's see. For well-rounded stuff this week, Defunct Land. Oh my god. I've mentioned Defunct Land in the past. I think I've actually heard a couple shows talk about it as well. I just love this show, and I love Kevin Perjurer who makes it. It's a show about basically defunct or like no longer existing theme park rides or theme parks or that kind of stuff. A lot of Disney focus, but not just Disney. And it's absolutely incredible.
I think I've actually heard of this podcast.
You have? I've at least talked about it a lot. It's not a podcast. It's a YouTube show. But actually, that's not true because there actually is an interview portion that he does as a podcast where he has like Imagineers on to talk about like, I don't know, like fucking making the goddamn Muppets and stuff like that. Or I guess not the Muppets, because the Muppets wouldn't be Imagineers, but talks about like the Imagineers came up with the Tiki Room and stuff like that. Really interesting. But he did an entire episode, I think it's like 40 minutes or so, on the history of the 1964 New York World's Fair, which, by the way, was not sanctioned by the World's Fair Committee, and was part of the reason why the U.S. doesn't get World's Fairs anymore. I think the last one we got was New Orleans, and the New York one was part of the reason why that was the last one. Really, really fascinating story about colossal fuck-ups and epic wrongdoings so the New York World's Fair, essentially they got rid of a lot of low-income housing to make that thing happen, and essentially for a billionaire who then lost a bunch of money for the city, and then whatever money he did make, he put into trying to start his own amusement park, which then also went under. So it's like the biggest grift, crazy story of all time, and absolutely I love World's Fair stuff. Like I've always been fascinated with the New Orleans World's Fair in the 80s. I believe Beyond Bourbon Street, the podcast, had a really good episode about it back in the day. Maybe two, actually. But yeah, this New York World's Fair video is absolutely incredible and such a crazy story. So highly recommend checking that out. It's fucking ridiculous. Sixth and Jump, dude. Oh my god. I know we're not supposed to talk about Ari Shaffir and Big J. Okerson anymore because they're very canceled. But holy fucking shit, dude. Sixth and Jump, the podcast about 21 Jump Street, is one of my favorite fucking things on the planet right now. It's just genuinely some of the funniest shit. I have not laughed out loud and as hard as I have listening to, I believe it's episode 19 and 20. I'll double check right now. But it's the after school special episodes. And holy shit, dude. It's just so fucking funny. Have you listened to any of this show?
Six and Jump? No, I have not.
Have you watched any 21 Jump Street?
Like the original show?
Yeah.
Not really. It seemed like some highlights, but I haven't actually sat down and watched it.
You should go watch that show. It is fucked up. They're bad cops in every aspect. But what was great about this, yes, it was episode 19 and 20. And what's awesome is, so they've been, for the first, I think, 18, maybe, no, it's probably like 16 or 17 episodes, they were using clips on a YouTube channel called Film Rise. And they were just, like, using the clips on video and shit, which I knew was inevitably going to get shut down. Well, they use their agents, which, thank God for it. If there's any use for agents when it comes to being a comedian, this is the one use, apart from, like, just knowing manager or knowing bookers at shows. They went and had their agents reach out to Film Rise, got in touch with Film Rise, and Film Rise gave them permission to show the video of the episodes as they're talking about it. So it's really cool. It's actually getting better now they're able to use clips of the show again, because a lot of it's like them referencing dudes' hair in the background, where like dudes have crazy guile hair in the background of the scenes because it's the 80s. and like fucking some of the crazy lines like that only really without hearing it doesn't really sell it. Like the fucking dude who refuses to read. Maori man. Oh God, what the fuck? It's really good. So 6th and Jump, I'm telling you guys, go watch that show. Especially the after school special episode. And I believe actually my buddy Gio, superfan Gio, was on the intro. I'm almost positive it was Giovanni because he started talking about Loveline in the video, which means it was definitely him. But yeah, a lot of fun. Speaking of Loveline, the After Disaster, hosted by Anderson Cowan, former producer of Loveline, and Mike Carano, former photographer for the Improv, and Tyler White, who works for CBS, I guess nowadays, on like I forget what show, Tonight Show, not Tonight Show, some show, one of those fucking late night shows. But that show's been hilarious. They've literally been recording from a shady parking lot in LA outside of a bar that's closed, and it's just like weird happenings, and they're just talking shit. I can't even explain that show to you. I'm just saying go listen to it. The After Disaster is great. Cody Dank's UFC 4 streams, I think that's how you spell it, Coty, or that's how you say it, COTYDANKH. His UFC 4 streams have been great. He has a dab counter on them. He smokes grips of weed, and he is I believe at least I know he was a top, I think 20 player on UFC 3, and I think he's still in that range on UFC 4 right now. So that's dope. And then lastly, highest host on Twitch, my buddy Adam Macadocious. Adam Ill. He's smoking hella dabs on Twitch and is a fucking sweetheart, and I love that guy. So go check out his show. It's he literally is just hanging out doing giveaways for like weed products and shit because he's worked in the dispensary game for, I don't know, as long as I've known him, which is over a decade. You want to hear me reminiscing about some fucking old ass, some old man shit. Go ahead and go check that out. Talk about when we had to decarb wax and shit on our own. So definitely worth it. But anyway, I think that's about it for right now. Chris, you got anything else on the podcast this week?
No, that's it for me.
Perfect. Well, on that note, we were going to play this clip of the fight site talking about the hilarity in the way that fighters handle fighting Conor McGregor and Sean O'Malley. Hacksaw Eyes had a brilliant line and a great delivery on it. So listen to this clip, and then we'll be back to break down this UFC 252 card, which I am fucking hyped for. Well, I should rephrase that. I'm not very hyped for the undercard, but there's a couple fights here and there I'm pretty stoked on. So we'll be back for that, and until then, listen to this clip of the Fight Site MMA Podcast, episode 23.
Liked by the sound of violence.
What are you feeling about Sean O'Malley? Where do you stand?
I think he's very much a fighter in progress, and I think the thing that kind of sticks out to me is a lot of people compare him to everybody's favorite, Irish Conco McGrongles, like, in that they like to come out and back a guy up, like they like to establish their presence in the fight, not just in terms of the techniques they use and the aggression they show, but even in terms of stuff as simple as walking the other guy to the fence and beating the shit out of them. The other guy's like, oh God, I'm on the fence. I don't want to be on the fence. On the fence is terrible. Leroy Jenkins themselves into a knockout punch.
Liked by the sound of violence.
I mean, this was just phenomenal. This was like Argo, where acting was so good that it kind of affected the real world. I mean, not only was Ivan Kutalaba like such a good actor that he convinced a referee to stop a fight.
An
He
MMA
was such a
ref.
good fight actor that he convinced an MMA referee to stop a fight.
To stop a fight standing.
I know.
It
Can you
was-
imagine what kind of presence this guy has as an actor?
Put this
Like,
man on
all-
the stage. He's so compelling.
Yeah, I mean, with just a few motions of his body, he can accomplish what a regular person getting completely buzzsawed and smashed into the fence by hundreds of punches and going face down in a pool of their own blood, like, can't do. He can do it just by wibbling. Like, what a remarkable man.
It really just...
And that he's then so insanely upset at his own acting skill afterwards.
Oh. I imagine Kutalaba in a movie puts on this tear-jerking performance, and then he's just running around the theater screaming because he realizes people are crying. No! It was fake!
violence.
What are you feeling about Sean O'Malley? Where do you stand?
I think he's very much a fighter in progress, and I think the thing that kind of sticks out to me is a lot of people compare him to everybody's favorite, Irish Conco McGrongles, in that they like to come out and back a guy up, like they like to establish their presence in the fight, not just in terms of the techniques they use and the aggression they show, but even in terms of stuff as simple as walking the other guy to the fence and beating the shit out of them. The other guy's like, oh god, I'm on the fence. I don't want to be on the fence. On the fence is terrible. Leroy Jenkins themselves into a knockout punch.
by the sound of violence.
What are you feeling about Sean O'Malley? Where do you stand?
I think he's very much a fighter in progress, and I think the thing that kind of sticks out to me is a lot of people compare him to everybody's favorite, Irish Conco McGrongles, in that they like to come out and back a guy up, like they like to establish their presence in the fight, not just in terms of the techniques they use and the aggression they show, but even in terms of stuff as simple as walking the other guy to the fence and beating the shit out of them. The other guy's like, oh God, I'm on the fence. I don't want to be on the fence. On the fence is terrible. Leroy Jenkins themselves into a knockout punch.
All right, everyone, we're back.
Yeah, we are.
We are back to preview UFC 252, Miocic versus Cormier III. The trilogy ends here, also known as...
That is correct.
Yes, that is correct. Also known as Daniel Cormier's retirement fight?
No.
Maybe?
Let's not
just maybe.
Let's not perpetuate that fucking lie that everyone's telling this week. Including DC. I don't know. When his coach is being like, I think he's going to fight John Jones after this, then I'm not interested in hearing that's his retirement fight. But maybe.
Yeah.
I would like it to be.
I would as well too. He's had a great career. We'll see. I mean, It's all just balancing. Yeah, it's just contingent on if he wins or not. I guess. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll get into it later. All knows. Let's get into this first fight.
Well,
These
first,
six
before you
cards-
get into it, do you want to
Yes.
read off the fights that fell off of this card? Because I feel like it's very important in the pandemic era, and there were some really good fights scheduled at one point.
Yeah. So originally in this card, Robert Whittaker versus Darren Till. Looks like Magomed Ankalaev versus Jan Kutalaba. Kutalaba
The GOAT rematch.
Yeah, Mr. Rope-a-dope himself, Jan Kutalaba. Manel Cape. I always
No,
forget how to
Kate,
say
you're
it.
right.
Manel Cape versus Ogirio Bontorin.
Man, I was so excited for that fight.
Piece of shit versus Khalil Roundtree.
Oh, we don't even acknowledge that fight existed or exists.
That's why I just said what I did. Frankie Edgar versus Pedro Munoz. And Jorge Gonzalez versus Ike Villanueva, or Ike? No,
Ike.
it's Ike.
Yeah.
Why did I say Ike? I'm thinking of Kike.
Which is
Like,
weird
that's the
because
name.
it's Isaac. It's Isaac Villanueva, right? Did he go to? Did he change his name to Ike at one point, or am I? Yeah. No, it's just Isaac. Okay, whatever.
Okay.
Also, we forgot to mention before we got into this, Chris, what are you drinking?
I'm having some iced coffee.
Ooh, what kind?
I think it's San Francisco Bay.
Ooh, there you go. That's what's
Pretty
up.
soft.
I am having the iced coffee of beers. The Black is Beautiful from North Park Brewing Company.
Nice.
Fucking, I still have this. I've been saving these because they're so good. They're so good. They're fucking incredible. This actually does. If I was to say the closest thing I've come to a nitro iced coffee is probably this. It's real fucking good. Anyway, so let's kick this motherfucking mule, or actually let's not reference that dude again for the second time, because I have weird feels about all of those motherfuckers right now. So instead, why don't we start off the UFC 252 preview, Chris, with Kai Kamaka III taking on Tony Kelly.
Kai Kamaka III doesn't know he's the Fighting Hawaiian. He has a record of 7-2. This is his UFC debut. He is previously a member of LFA's promotion as well as Bellator. I have zero tape study on him. I have zero tape study on most of this card.
Spoiler, I finally did
What's the
tape
other
study again, so I got a little bit of tips for you here and there if you got questions.
He's going up against Tony Primetime Kelly, who's 5 wins, 1 loss. This is a featherweight bout. Tony Kelly, this is also his UFC debut. I'll let you take it away. I have no clue who to pick in this.
Well, I'm going to give you a couple quick things that stand out immediately. Well, first off, Kai is fighting in stacks. A lot of right hands and body kicks. I found some of my notes from a show in my notes about this fight, so that's interesting. My note process is not perfect. Let's see. Dude, he's fighting. Oh, right. So, Chris, I want you go ahead and read off the last 3 fights for both guys, starting with Kai, and let me know why you should definitely pick one of the two, because I have a feeling you'll figure it out.
Let's see. So last 3 fights for Kai. Decision. Oh, he's like a decisionator.
Yep.
And then Tony Kelly.
No, so you should look at when they took place, also, as well as the method.
Oh boy. So Kelly here had 2019 and 2016, 15, 15, 14.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah.
So essentially, what Chris did not actually spell out while looking at the thing, which I was hoping he was going to do, is the Tony Kelly has had 1 fight since July of 2016, and that was a very
I said
quick
2019 and then 2016. I was like, oh, that's bad. I mean, I guess I didn't say it. But.
Yeah, well, no, but the big point though is that it was his 1 win back was a first round guillotine in 2019, in May of 2019, against a dude who did not at all try to defend that guillotine. If you go back and watch it, he just didn't even try.
I didn't watch it, so I couldn't tell you. But
Yeah,
I'll take
no,
it.
but the fact that his 2 fights prior to that were 2016 and 2015, and Kai is a pressure kickboxer, at least from what his game looks like. He's a pressure kickboxer with some decent wrestling, and he kind of blends all 3 of those depending on what his fight calls for. So I think a lot of this is going to come down to what Tony Kelly gives him. I think probably Kai gets a dominant decision via top control and just pressure kickboxing. Like, I think he's going to either put dude against the cage and just piece him apart until he folds, or he'll just get top control and ride him out and put a pace on him. I really think it's a pretty tough out for Kai's opponent. So, yeah, I got Kai via, I'll say decision, but I would not be surprised at like a stoppage.
Yeah, I'm just gonna agree with you here because I don't know who to pick. The odds brought to you by Sheamus, of course.
That's goddamn right it is.
We got Kai Kamaka at a minus 233, favorite to a plus 188 of Tony Kelly. Take that as you will.
Wait, how much of a favorite?
Minus 233 to a plus 188.
That's about where I would put it. Even then, that's almost parlayable because it's, man, for Tony Kelly to win this fight, he has to look real good in a way that I'm not convinced he will.
So next up on this undercard
is a prelim heavyweight fight. Who is excited?
Chris Dawkins, who I believe he has a brother named Kyle, who's also in the UFC, I believe. Going up against Parker Porter, who has a pretty terrifying picture, but that's okay. He's excited. Chris Dawkins, last time we saw him.
Yeah, that Porter does him a lot of favors. I mean, that picture does him a lot of favors.
This is Chris Dawkins' UFC debut. Parker Porter. Well, do you see the trend here? Like you said, it is a contender series. This is also his UFC debut.
How is this not a contender series?
This is Dana White's Saturday night.
How are they putting on contender series when this is on the fucking prelims of a pay-per-view?
Let's see. So Chris Dawkins last win KO in the beginning of the first round.
It's a bad
then he
fight.
got knocked out. Then he knocked someone out. Then he knocked someone out. Then he knocked someone out. So he knocks out a lot of people. Parker Porter, does he knock out a lot of people? He knocked out his last guy. Yeah, and he also Kimura'd someone. Americana. Ooh, shots the back of the head. That's bad. He got DQ'd, so he's reckless. Ooh, I'm going to go Chris Dawkins because he's less reckless.
Yeah, I'm going to go Chris Dawkins because his entire game isn't built off of a like, not even pawing. It's just like range-finding jab and then overhands. That is and an inside leg kick. That is literally all Parker Porter throws. It's so frustrating to watch. His fight that he won, he just threw jab overhands or inside leg kick overhands over and over again until he gassed himself, and then just got lucky and landed one in the third round. It was an ugly fight. And Chris Dawkins at least moves well and throws straight punches. So I'm going to go with Chris Dawkins because he throws straight punches. And I think Parker's going to gas himself from throwing overhands for 7 minutes and then fall apart. So I got Dawkins KO second.
Yeah, I'm also going to go KO second as well. I'll take your word for it. The odds brought to you by Sheamus. We got, Porter is a minus 118. Slight favorite over minus 1.
What the fuck? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess, man. I don't know. It's heavyweight, so, like, big guy might just go burr with right hands and win.
Go burr, yeah.
But, like, I don't know. I don't know how to pick heavyweight fights at all. Like, we're just going to mash two big old hunks of meat together and see which one hurts the other one. I don't know.
So speaking of two big...
I guarantee you it won't be pretty. I guarantee that much.
So speaking of hunks of meat...
Oh, God. That's a bad segue.
I'll tell you the reason why. So Lavinia Souza recently fought Sarah Froda. I think one of these two athletes tested positive for roids or PEDs.
Not Livia, not the Souza. I'll tell you that.
Okay, not her. It was definitely Sarah Frota.
Yeah, no, Frota popped for a bunch of stuff. Olivia Not the Souza is like barely 5 feet tall, and it says she's 5'3". I don't believe that.
Okay, so they're giving her...
And also, she is just like dope as shit. I believe she has a FIFA title. Like, I believe she has a accolades in FIFA.
Oh.
And I think another video game too. Counter-Strike, maybe?
Oh, good on her. That's pretty cool.
She's cool as shit. She's also super thug as fuck. Her
name is the Brazilian Gangsta. So
and her foundation style is Ghetto Jitsu. which that works different in Brazil, I'm guessing. But yeah, no, she's hood as shit. She raps. She's dope as hell. I've been a big Hinata Souza fan since before she fought Angie Hill in Invicta when she had the title back then. Yeah, man, I love the way she fights. She's scrappy as shit, super tough, willing to just go out there and brawl. She's smaller than everyone. And I think that's what a lot of this fight comes down to is, can Ashley Yoder out-grapple Lavinia Souza just off of size alone?
Yeah, that's
because
a big size discrepancy.
Well, and Olivia Hinata Souza, or Lavinia Souza, I think she prefers Lavinia at this point. I'm not... TJ DeSantis refers to her as Lavinia, so I'll go with that. But she's I believe a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Really, really high level grappling. And so, but she's so undersized. A lot of it, she's really scrambly though. She generally wins scrambles, and Ashley Yoder does have a tendency to lose close decisions. So I'm leaning Souza via decision, albeit close, just because of the size difference.
Yeah.
Also, Ashley Yoder went for a fucking head and arm in her fight against Brenda Marcos, which automatically DQs her from me picking her in this fight.
So I think I'm gonna take. Yeah, I'm gonna take Souza based on experience and to surpass accolades, even though it's a big size disadvantage. I got decision.
Yeah, I would not necessarily be surprised at a sub or a TKO, because if Souza does start winning grappling exchanges and end up on top, or if she starts winning on the feet, like, she will just pour shit on in a really ugly way, and I don't think Ashley Yoder can hang. But I think Ashley Yoder's big. Like, Ashley Yoder's about the same size as Random Marcos. Random Marcos is pretty big for that division. So I think just the size alone is going to keep her in it.
With that being said, the odds brought to you by Sheamus. You got Souza at a minus 156, favorite to a plus 129 of Yoder.
That sounds about right. I would still like that line, though, if I was looking to play it.
This next fight,
dude,
no fucking clue who's gonna win. I think I'm gonna go with the guy who's already...
tell you who's gonna win.
Okay, well, I'll let you say, because I'm probably gonna go with TJ Brown because he fought in the UFC already, and this guy.
Does it make you more confident or less confident if you know he blew weight?
Less, because it means he's undisciplined.
What if I say he blew by 3 pounds, which is pretty big?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Danny Chavez.
Really? Because I would give that.
I don't know. I don't like. If I just look at these fights, I fucking hate. Because it's like, okay, this dude got choked the fuck out after he blew weight, right? And then he arm triangle choked someone. Then he head kicked the fuck out of someone. So he clearly likes the arm triangle. He has a lot of wins on that. Danny Chavez, does he get choked out? Let's see. He got guillotine choked once.
He also has 3 first-round decisions against.
Yeah, no. I'm going with Danny Chavez. He knocks him the fuck out like the last 3 fights in a row. And this guy's explosive.
So you're going first-round knockout, I'm guessing?
Why not? Let's let the trend continue, because DJ Brown, I don't know if he made weight today. If he didn't,
he didn't. He blew up by I think 3 pounds.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I think 100%. Or no, I guess he blew up by catch weight of 146.5. What was it originally supposed to be? Oh, okay, sorry. He only blew weight by half a pound, actually. That kind of makes that different.
Okay.
I was under the understanding... I thought he blew weight by more than that, which... If he only blew weight by half a pound, that means he cut and didn't make it. If he blew weight by 3, that means he gave up on the cut. Which is interesting. But I still think... It's probably not going to be... I still think it's probably not great signs for Chavez. I think Chavez has to finish this in the first round based on his record. Also, there's almost no footage on this dude outside of him killing Pipe Vargas, which, by the way, I'm sure your name's Pipe, my guy, but Pipe Vargas is the most fucking Far Cry 3 villain ass name I've ever heard, and I fucks with it. So
That's fucking great.
Pipe Vargas, you are, sir, and I fucks with it. Pipe Vargas would
Where's
fight.
the boss and Hoyt?
Yeah, exactly. Pipe Vargas
Citra.
Pipe Vargas would 100% fight for XFN, whatever the fuck that is. I vaguely know that name. What is
By
it?
the way, shouts out to Giancarlo Esposito, aka Gus Fring, being the main villain of Far Cry 6. I'm 1000% buying that
Oh, yeah,
for that alone.
That's fun
If,
shit.
if you've seen the trailer, you're like, oh, Gus is the main villain? I'm in.
Yeah.
And it's in Cuba. So
Oh, then I'm in if it's in Cuba. That's tight.
It's
I
in
didn't hear
Cuba.
that yet.
yeah, oh yeah.
That's interesting. Anyway, yeah, so I'm taking TJ Brown. The only thing that makes me a little nervous is in the one. So there's not a lot of footage out there of his opponent. The only thing I really found on Chavez is, or at least in the bit of research I did for the show, is he has that first round knockout via head kick. I believe it was either the last one or the one before that. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he set it up with leg kicks. It seems like, which is kind of makes it more interesting that he got a first round KO. Because a lot of times you see first round KOs, you just think, oh, you're way more athletic than people you're fighting. You just kind of blitz somebody, but you could see him hurt dude bad with a low kick and then finish with a high kick, which kind of makes it more interesting. But honestly, I'm leaning Brown. The only thing that makes me very nervous, though, TJ Brown in both of his fights has thrown illegal knees. He threw one of the most blatant illegal knees I've seen in a while, outside of the fight where dude got killed. Shouts out to Ferdabs in chat. What's dude from the Indian reservation who got murdered with a knee in Contender Series? Who I like a lot. Used to fight for I want to say Titan. Where's the headdress?
Weaver?
Yeah, Brock Weaver. 100%.
Yeah.
So
Who
Brock
may
Weaver.
or may not have killed dogs. Just kidding. I know it's
I
Reddit
forgot
hates him.
about that part.
I know Reddit hates him.
I kind of hate him too. The more I've heard about that.
Okay,
but
never mind. We hate him.
yeah, well, I don't feel good about him. Let me put it that way.
I know. I'm just
I will
jumping the fucking gun.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. Anyway, but my point is that was probably the most brutal illegal knee I've seen recently. But this was so blatant, the one that Brown threw in the Contender Series, and in his last fight, he also threw one against Jordan Griffin that was very close to being illegal. So, like I said, I am taking Brown, but if he throws an illegal knee and gets DQ'd, that would 0% surprise me, because he's done it almost twice in a row, and he doesn't seem to really care.
Well, the odds brought to you by Sheamus. We got Brown as a minus 143 to a plus 113 of Danny Chavez. Take that as you will.
I said the method on that, right? That I have Brown.
I've got Chavez via DQ. I'm kidding. I got
Dude, that's
Chavez.
honestly not a bad pick.
I got Chavez via
I'm
first
really
round knockout because it's fun and it's a shitty pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Brown via decision, but Chavez via DQ is not a bad pick. I'm not even kidding.
All right.
This fight is gonna make everybody sad if they like Felice Herrig, I think.
I don't even remember the last time I saw Felice Herrig fight, to be honest, besides her filming Connor go crazy.
That would be because her last fight was against Michelle Watterson in 2018.
Oh, yeah, and Connor going crazy was like in 2019, so that checks out. Because she was on that card, and I think she got called off. No, I guess not.
No, but she was supposed to fight Yan Xiaonan, which would have gone badly for her.
I think I'm gonna take the Brazilian.
Yep, good call.
Yes,
real good call. That is.
Yeah, I was watching it embedded, and it's Felice
100%.
Herrig. I'm like, well, she hasn't changed. She's still just being marketable or trying. I don't know. I don't care. It's basically like her getting her temperature checked, like in their tent, and then she just basically strips off her robe and she's wearing a bodysuit. She's like, I love wearing bodysuits. And the camera just like in one frame, and you're like, all right. You like wearing bodysuits.
That's definitely accidental and not a planned segment.
No, it was all accidental, clearly.
Jesus fucking Christ. What are the odds she's sponsored by that bodysuit company? Chris, what? Oh God, I hate everything about MMA.
I got rear naked choke.
Dude, RNC is such the right call, 100%.
I got first round too.
RNC in the first. I do not have first round. I think
first round. Yeah, Police are just pretty tough out. She's durable.
Sometimes. Also, pro tip from the Vivid section this week. I'm not going to give it away, but if you go listen to the Vivid section about Felice Herrig, their producer, I'm not going to shout out her name because I don't want to put her on blast in case. Since they didn't name her, I'm not going to name her, but we all know who I'm talking about. By the way, shouts out to her. I know she's going through some tough stuff, and much love and all that. But, yo, there's a secret to picking Felice fights that it does not involve her fighting career. And odds are, according to that producer, maybe fade Felice in this. And she is arguably one of the best fight pickers in the game, but never for like technical. That's not true. Not never, but rare. Like a lot of it is just intuition and like just feel for how fighters work, and it's kind of wild. But yeah. Anyway, my point is maybe fade Felice in this. I got Verna. I'm gonna take sub in the second. Just because I think Felice is gonna try and grapple with her, realize that's a terrible idea, fade physically, and then just get overwhelmed. I would not be surprised though if she can't get the sub and Verna ends up just grinding out a decision where Felice has little to no answers in the clinch and on the ground. Also at range, I feel like Felice might not have great success either. Yeah, I think it's a tough out for her stylistically, to be honest.
Yeah. And the odds, I think, kind of showed us too. You got John DeRoba at a -303 to +239 of Felice Herrig. Take that as you will.
Wow, that's wide as shit, but I get why.
This next fight...
I don't know that should be that wide. Like, yeah. I would think it should be like...
Yeah. Anyway. This next fight is happening, apparently. You got scrappy veteran Jim Miller going up against veteran Vince Pichel, who I haven't heard from in a while.
He fought back in September, I think?
No. Oh, yeah. Okay. No, June.
Was
he had
June?
a canceled bout for last November, almost a year ago.
That's what it was. Yeah, he fought the Roosevelt Roberts fight, and then Vince... And he had that big, long stretch of time off after the Njokuani fight. Man, I miss the Njokuani brothers. Shouts out to some of the only skateboarders in MMA.
Oh yeah.
You ever see the Njokuani brothers skate? They're good as fuck, dude.
Probably not. I've never been a big skater. I mean,
they're like legit just throwing.
They're
legit just throwing tray flips like with ease and shit, just like jumping back on a board. It's ridiculous, like crazy athletes.
And then last time we saw Jim Miller, he also coincidentally fought Roosevelt Roberts last, but that was this year, earlier in June, where he armbarred him in the first round. He looked good. I'm probably gonna take him over Vince Pichel.
What's your method on that? Because I've been going back and forth on this fight.
I got Jim Miller by sub.
Me too, and it makes me real nervous. I'm not going to lie. Because
Vince Pichel hits really hard, too.
He hits hard, and he's willing to put a pressure game on people. And I feel like if Miller doesn't get the sub early, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah.
By early, though, I mean like 7 minutes. Like a round and a half-ish, you know?
Yeah, we'll fucking see.
Do you got a round on that?
I'm gonna go round 2.
Yeah. See, I think I have to. I think if I'm gonna pick Miller via sub, I have to pick him in the first, or else the pick is Pichel by decision.
Yeah.
And Pichel's really. When was the last time Pichel was ever subbed? Right, Gregor Gillespie, who's like just crazy pressure top control. Rustam Habalov, crazy pressure top control. That's it. And that ain't really Jim Miller's game.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
Jim
Miller can absolutely catch a guillotine on in transition or To be fair, though, Jim Miller's been looking real fucking good. You know what? I'm going to take Miller by decision, despite what I just said about how I don't think it's smart to take Jim Miller by decision.
I think that's the right pick.
I think Push Shell by decision might be the right pick, but Miller's been looking good enough.
Yeah. And the odds brought to you by Sheamus are all the same across the board. You got Pichel at a minus 141 to a plus 110 of Miller.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just because his volume game is going to make problems for Jim Miller down the stretch. I just wonder that if Vince Pichel doesn't get out wrestled for at least a round and a half. And yeah, I don't know. I also have been not great on Jim Miller reads recently, so I don't know. Take it for what it's worth.
Take it as you will. This next fight I fucking hate, so I'll let you talk about it.
Oh God. Right. All right. So open up pay-per-view card. Wait, why do you hate this fight? I love this fight.
I don't like John Dodson.
Oh, yeah, but you just don't like his style.
Yeah, that's why I don't like watching him fight anymore.
Yeah, but how much did you like him watching him fight before? If you don't like him now,
oh, it was great. It was
really?
awesome. He was really fun to watch.
When did it change?
I'd honestly say after he lost the
Lineker fight,
and I'm not even being sarcastic. I'm not even kidding.
Really? After Marlon?
I swear to God. I swear to you.
See, I would have thought after Lineker maybe, but yeah, no. To be fair, the Marlon fight was he got real safe after that, right?
Yeah. I knew exactly when I was like, I don't like this guy anymore, and it was after the Marlon Moraes fight.
Yeah, his style definitely changed pretty significantly.
It just faded away. It's like he's just like, all right, well.
Well, no, he started playing a very Jackson Winklejohn fucking style.
Everyone needs to get out of that
safety. Gym. Well, yes, absolutely.
Them and Team Alpha Male are like the snake oil salesman of gyms. Fuck both of those gyms.
And what's the saddest is it's so clear why it happened. It's because they just essentially focused all their intention and money on either the one person they think, one or two people they think can be champ, or just getting motherfucking heads in the door for training. Just, yo, are you a soccer mom who wants to learn how to kickbox? We got you. It does no good for the fighters. Yeah, man. How much would you love to see John Dodson go to ATT?
That'd be sick.
Although I would have loved to see it a while back. At this point, I don't know that I would.
That being said, I have Merab Dvalishvili against weird decision.
Also, I think we are not giving enough credit to how good John Dodson looked in his last fight against Nathaniel Wood. He looked fucking incredible.
Oh, he looked... No, I remember...
To be fair...
Everyone was counting out John Dodson.
I absolutely
was. Wood is the next big thing, and then all of a sudden, he got dropped multiple times, and Dodson looked great.
Well, he still is the next big thing. He got overzealous and got clipped, but also that is 100% a thing that could happen to Merab, is he gets overzealous with his wild pressure game and gets clipped by John Dodson with his chin out, walking forward, trying to make it ugly. But you say you have Merab?
Yeah. Probably going to be wrong, but...
Decision?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go the same way, to be honest. John Dodson loses it. I think we talked about it earlier in this episode already, but John Dodson loses decisions in a way that is always frustrating, and I feel like this is a perfect style matchup for him to lose a frustrating decision, in that Merab's just going to make this super fucking ugly the whole time, and just dive at legs and do terrible things that John Dodson's going to hate. And I think that's going to not allow John Dodson, unless he's able to just blitz Merab with 14 left hands in a row. I think it's going to be tough.
On the odds brought to you by Sheamus, wow, okay. Merab Dvalishvili is a minus 244 to a plus 199.
What the fuck?
That's why I said wow.
Dude. If you want, what is John Dodson by KO?
Let's see.
I bet it's a crazy number.
Dodson by KO is plus 410.
That's a crazy number.
Yeah. Dvalishvili by KO is plus 1320, in case you were curious.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, but I don't hate Dodson via KO at 410.
Dodson decision is plus 600. That's a good bet.
That's a better bet, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is gonna go to a close decision either way. Because a lot of Merab's game is not. If Dodson lands 2 big sequences in 2 rounds, or 1 big sequence in 2 different rounds, he's gonna take that fight, I think. So that's interesting. Both those are y'all want some fucking backup. You want to hedge some stuff. That is not a bad way to do it. Anyway, Herbert Burns. Speaking of people with blue weight.
Yep. God damn it.
Herbert Burns taking on Daniel Pineda.
Yeah. I'm just leaning towards Herbert Burns by sub, but
Well, because he blew weight and because he's Herbert Burns.
that's why. It's because of Herbert Burns.
Yeah, Daniel Pineda is kind of fucking wild. He looks really good in his 2 PFL fights. Problem is, he also got those both overturned for having elevated levels of testosterone.
Oh, fun.
So, very weird pickup by the UFC. Love to know who the agent of Daniel Pineda is.
I wonder who it is.
Well, considering he was previously with PFL, and he somehow got signed off of 2 no-contest finishes, I'm going to take a wild guess.
I guess his name is Robert. But
as to which bald fucking degenerate befriending fucking manager is in the sport.
May or may not have been on an FBI's most wanted list, that guy, right?
No, he was definitely on it. There's no may or may not about it.
Well, I say that sarcastically because it's always...
Yeah, I don't know, man. The thing is Daniel Pineda got out wrestled, or like he had enough trouble in scrambles against dudes coming up that I think Herbert Burns probably is just too good on the ground. But Daniel Pineda could absolutely just wing some fucking crazy shit at dude and fuck him up. Because Daniel Pineda will just go out there and throw heaters. And also Herbert Burns, I would assume, is sponsored or is managed by... Wait, is Gilbert... Which one of the 2 terrible managers is Gilbert? The bald one or the not bald one?
I believe he's the not bald one.
I think so too, which means Herbert's the not bald one, which means the bald one, the bald manager got this fight specifically set up to beat the non-bald manager's fighter. If I'm reading this correctly. And
I believe so. I believe that's correct.
Y'all know who I'm talking about. If not, I don't know.
One of them is Salty. All right.
Yeah. That's old school reference. There you go. Yeah. Oh,
holy shit, dude! It's fucking hot here. I have like 6 fucking mosquito bites on my left ankle, and I want to fucking chop.
So it's going real good over there. So you said you had Burns.
Yeah, by sub. Why not?
You got a round on that?
I got him by juicy sub over a juice boy. Round 1. No, it's gonna be round 2. The other guy seems pretty wild and chaotic, so round 2.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go the same way. I do think that early in this fight, though, Pineda could do some wild shit and get a finish. But I think Herbert Burns probably in a scramble ends up on top and gets finished either late first or early
Daniel
second.
Pineda, since he's juicy, his new nickname is Trop, short for Tropicana. So why not? Daniel Trop Pineda. All right. And the odds brought to you by Shane.
No. Wait, I got a better one. Okay,
let's hear it.
What is... I wish this keyboard didn't suck so bad.
Wait, isn't pina, pineapple?
Dude, you and I literally did. I literally was typing pineapple in Spanish.
I know. Goddamn. We had this. We're on the same wavelength.
100% Daniel Pina. 100%.
Thank you. I'm glad you were thinking the same exact thing.
We
like,
nailed.
Wait, what's first thinking?
100%.
Pineapple.
Yeah. 100%. You nailed that.
There we go.
This is why we do a show together, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Daniel
beautiful champ. Beautiful.
Pineda is a plus 211 to a minus 263 of Herbert Burns.
Yeah, that's fair, but like also, I think people sleep on Pineda just being a wild man.
Yeah. That's fucking hilarious. Okay,
I love it.
Let me not cut off my foot and tell you about how JDS is going to definitely not get knocked out by Jairzinho Rozenstruik.
Okay. Well,
and can I give you a reason why? because if you've seen him
Is it
on
the
a
mustache?
stage, he's looking extra not juicy.
Okay, but also counterpoint, he still isn't looking as ripped as Rosen. And counterpoint, JDS is going to throw a rainbow overhand and get killed.
I mean, yeah. Oh, you're right.
So, I got Rosen via KO in the second.
Yeah.
Actually, I got Rosen via KO in the first.
I got first round knockout for Biggie Boy.
Yep.
Yeah. And the odds brought to you by Sheamus. We got Rosenstruik at a -123 to +103 for the former heavyweight champion,
Yep.
Junior Dos Santos. Good luck, Cigano. You will need it. Next up is the hype fight. Well, I've heard this so many times. Sugar Sean O'Malley is the first fighter since Conor McGregor to
The
get a
next Conor McGregor
of the pay-per-view without ever fighting a top 10 opponent. How do you think Sean's gonna do this? So my
Sean
official pick-
O'Malley building his career off the trails of Conor McGregor and Israel Adesanya this week.
It's like, what? It's like, okay, so first of all, my official pick is Cheeto via decision.
Yeah, Cheeto fam.
I'm telling you that right now. I only mainly because if I recall correctly, Cheeto's never been knocked out. Can anyone get knocked out? Of course. Like, we know that. Can Sean knock him out? Yeah, I'm sure. He's got knockout power, especially that weight class. I think it's just going to be Sean doing some spinning shit early, trying to kind of just put Cheeto against the fence, and Cheeto's
A lot of range
against
finding
there
work, pressure.
because Cheeto's no, novice to adversity against the cage. I think
Especially in the first round.
it was that fight against Song Yudong. I mean, through the fucking kitchen sink. I mean, he ate him for breakfast.
Dude, that first round went real bad.
The fight against John Lineker is why I know Cheeto's probably not going to get knocked out. Because he was eating just fucking grenade after grenade. Lineker gassed out, and then Cheeto's like, all right, well, let me win this fight. And then they still gave the fight to Lineker, which, well, I was salty over that. But I'm a Cheeto fan.
Understandable. First off, how can you not be a Cheeto fan? He's a great guy.
This isn't a 5-round fight, so I could see O'Malley's gas tank landing the 3 rounds if he manages his cardio and distance well. This is a winnable fight for Sean. I think he has a skill to win this fight. I really do. It would surprise me if he wins. I like his skill set. The one thing someone brought up, I think it was a comment on Reddit, and I think it also was Jack Slack. They said, you notice how Sean O'Malley's coach, his name is Tim something, does he seem like a reputable coach, or is he kind of one that just hypes his fighter for now, right?
That's
Is it more the product of the fighter, and then the coach is hyping him up, and I'm not taking anything away from their camp, because if they do well together, they do well together. The results will speak for themselves if he keeps winning. The dude's 12-0 for a reason.
I want to say his name's Tim Welch.
It's Tim Welch, yeah.
But I don't know that I buy that. He's not Edmund.
I'm not gonna buy. I'm not gonna sell for a hole. Is what I should say.
Yeah.
If O'Malley though, say he is knocked the fuck out, then okay, maybe people are gonna jump on that whole notion.
But people are gonna do that regardless if he gets knocked out.
Cheeto officially ranked.
Well, and also people don't know Cheeto, which I think is just a matter of him not people just not paying attention. And also Cheeto just never getting never winning big
should have seen
matchups.
The comments from all the casuals and O'Malley fanboys, and I like O'Malley. Don't get me wrong, I do
Cheeto.
O'Malley, but you're who the fuck is this bomb? Sean knockout round 1, dude. Oh.
To be fair, if Sean's gonna win, it's gonna be a knockout round 1. But I don't see that shit. I'm taking Cheeto TKO round 3.
TKO, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
The problem is I think Sean
ground and pound. I
don't know. It could go a lot of ways. I just think Sean's gonna start getting overwhelmed if he doesn't get him out of there in the first round and a half. I think a lot of these fights, especially pandemic era, I think a lot of these there's a couple fighters that I don't know they have more than 7.5 minutes of good work in them to be able to fend off the pressure of a dude that is notoriously going to pour on pressure as the fight goes on. I think Cheeto will absolutely get smashed with some stuff early, and it's a matter of whether or not he survives it. I think he will, but Sean could absolutely put him up, like walk him to the cage and land counter shots, like pressure counter, work a pressure counter game, and also work the body early to set up the head. I think he could definitely win that way. But man, I really think the longer every minute after 6 that this fight goes is absolutely Cheeto starting to pour it on and make Sean really, really struggle. He did really good against Song Yadong in the 3rd round after eating fucking hellish shots from him.
By the way, I had no fucking clue that Cheeto was only 27.
Yeah, only 27.
I thought he was like
really
31.
Young. Well, and he was like just recently, since he started working with Colin Oyama, really started rounding out his game.
Because I remember Cheeto from Tough Latin America 1.
Totally different fighter.
And
right?
I remember though he was like 20, so that was like 7 fucking years ago.
Him and Moreno, yeah.
Yeah,
no, Moreno was 2.
He was
right?
with Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Yair
Is that 2 or
Rodriguez
3?
and Cheeto, and then it was Mowgli Benitez was on that.
Yeah, I love Mowgli.
Tekka was on there too.
That was such a good season. That was
because it was Mexico versus Latin America, and I remember Marlon Vera was fucking up everybody because it was bantamweight and featherweight. Because I remember Yair Rodriguez won the featherweights.
Was that the
Kane? And I believe, spoiler, Cheeto won the bantamweights.
Was that the Kane Verdum season?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a really good
because
season.
Kane didn't really speak much Spanish.
No, and Verdum spoke fluent Spanish, which is the funniest part.
Yeah, I remember that.
and then
I remember at one point he's like, "Hey, do you
Kane.
need help translating, brother?" or something like that.
It was very embarrassing.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair though, Portuguese is so close to Spanish. Like a lot of those words, it's real easy to pick. It's a lot easier to pick up that than
by
English.
the way, and I'm not gonna. Someone at my work, this Brazilian guy, he didn't tip like on just a large tab. I'm like, that's a dick move, and I wanted to be like, caralho, like as he's leaving,
Hey,
like,
porra.
Yeah, porra.
Uncle Hinach is gonna be mad, bro.
Yeah, caralho.
That's hilarious.
God damn it. And that brings us.
Shouts out to the giant ass Portuguese population, or not Portuguese, but Brazilian population in San Diego. There's a lot of y'all.
And the odds brought to you by Sheamus.
Sean O'Malley's got to be like a 200 favor, right?
Minus 286 to a plus
220. What?
Yeah.
Yo, that's insane to me. What? Oh man, I feel like you could parlay Vernon Janjaroba and Marlon Vera into like a real ass fucking
O'Malley by KO is plus 150.
What's Cheeto via KO, TKO?
Oh my god, you have to take this. Plus 1080.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I just, to be fair, Sean O'Malley's proven to be very durable.
By decision plus 465.
Either of those. If you're going to bet one, you might as well bet the other. But good God. Yeah, that's man,
okay.
I kind of want to bet on this card. There's some lines on here that I'm like, I don't know if y'all been paying attention.
And this brings us to the main event of the evening. I've been going back and forth.
I'm still going back and forth to this second that we're speaking right now. I still don't know who I'm going to pick.
I'm going to say right now my pick is I have Daniel Cormier winning via decision.
Do you? Okay. Yep. Well, here's my question. How much of that plays into the fact that it's in a small cage?
A lot, actually, because I think he just grinds. I mean, I know Stipe's good getting up off his back, but it's also Cormier, and top control is just so fucking vicious. And I realistically, it'll probably be DC by TKO via ground and pound and top control. Is probably the right call because they're heavyweights. But I think I could see it being a war. I could see him being a 3-2, not like a dominant decision. Because I think Stipe is going to get a lot of really good shots in.
Yeah.
Well, just because Daniel isn't really good defensively on his feet as far as his guard, because he keeps his hands low and just likes to pot shot.
No, he keeps his hands high is the problem.
And he has that speed advantage, of course, which is
this fucking mummy guard shit.
Yeah.
Well, so here's my question to you, Chris. A lot of people out in the world are saying that DC has cardio for 3 rounds nowadays, especially at heavyweight.
I mean,
or for 2 rounds, even because he gassed
guess I can
hard
see-
in that second fight after about 2.5.
I don't think about that. He did gas pretty hard.
Now, part of that may be because if you remember, he held Stipe over his head for like 20 seconds in that fight. Because he picked him up and then walked him around the
and
cage.
Stipe's like, "All right, when are you dropping me?" All right,
no,
push
it was
off."
it was a long time, and it was a man way bigger than him. So I don't know how much that played in, but like a lot, I've heard a lot on podcasts, especially from like the Fight Site guys and Connor and Zane and Phil. DC's cardio is majorly in question, and if his cardio fails him, he's gonna lose. Right?
Yeah, no, he's gonna get knocked out again if his cardio fails him.
So you're still confident in that DC pick? Is my question.
Not really anymore.
Now you think about it. Well, so here's the counterpoint: is if
I just think he can wrestle fuck Stipe because he
Yeah.
had, but then again, he exerted so much output, and if it was a 3-round fight, 10 out of 10, 9 out of 8, like probably 8 out of 10 times, or 7 out of 10 times, I'm picking DC if it's a 3-round fight.
Yeah,
just because
me
I can
too.
wrestle fuck him. 5 rounds though, it's actually like
it starts getting way scarier.
50-50. It's 50-50.
Yeah.
But it's probably more. I should pick Stipe. I think that's the correct pick because he has better.
I don't know that it is. See, I'm still
What?
super not sold on.
I'm just
one
gonna go
either
with
way.
DC. I'm not gonna back down from that. If I lose, I lose. It's all good.
I
think
respect the
if DC does lose, he
commitment.
is retired. But then he also just did say that I'm not going out like a bitch. I'm not gonna retire in a loss. If he wins, he retires for sure. Because there's nothing like he'll be like, okay, then I want to. Because he even said I want to go out like GSP. If he
Right.
wins, he's done. But then
I don't know.
But then they
about
might
that either,
they
though,
might
John
dangle that
Jones,
bullshit
yeah.
John Jones fight though. But I don't think he takes that.
It sure doesn't
But
feel
then-
good if he does.
But then does he also want John Jones like, all right, pussy, I can beat you heavyweight, and he'll talk all that shit on Twitter like he does? I don't know.
Yeah, I believe that was the line. I forget who put that out on Twitter
I don't know.
today.
If
Maybe it was Sean Sheehan. It was Sean Sheehan who put out like, oh, so after the fight, if DC wins, we see a post on Twitter that says, John Jones tweets, "Where you at, pussy? I'm coming to heavyweight." And in the presser, DC unannounces his retirement and says he's going to fight
it
John
was Sean
Jones.
Sheehan, yeah, I think it's
And Ben Folks is like, "Don't put this evil in the world."
I almost think DC's at a disadvantage even if he wins or loses because he's got the shadow of John Jones. I mean, I'm like that. Not that it means anything because he already lost twice to him, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
They don't need a third fight. So yeah, he's almost in a worse position than Stipe. If Stipe loses, it's like okay, well, I already beat Ngannou. I can just fight him again if he decide to retire,
Right.
and I'll probably beat him again. We'll see.
So if you have DC, you got him by decision?
Yeah. But
Man, that's all
I'm
tough out.
It's tough out. I'm not really confident in it now, but I'm just gonna stick with it. Stick to my guns. I think I'll just grind them out.
I felt way better about this pick until I rewatched right before this on the break actually between the first segment and the second segment. I rewatched DC Stipe 1. DC was getting the shit kicked out of him the entire time. Like the entire time he was getting beat up.
Yeah, and he poked him in the fucking eye, and that's not why he won. Like he caught him in the
No,
clinch, so I could be wrong.
well, no, and also if you rewatch that, he actually caught him with 2 pretty solid and pretty clean combos before he landed that right hand in the clinch, which I think was a big factor in why that right hand landed is because he clipped him hard twice in exchanges right before that. But that being said, DC looked great in the first fight up until Stipe started fucking him up. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess I have to have a pick, right? Because I'm not going to be one of those cowards who refuse to give a pick.
Fuck it, draw.
Dude, to be fair, draw is still the right decision sometimes.
You can call it draw.
Dude,
Technically,
you called the
not
draw
even-
in the Bobby. You called the draw in the Bobby Green Lando Venata fight, and it almost went that way up until Bobby Green started fucking up Lando Venata's whole world.
Yeah.
That was a real possibility up until Lando Venata started dying in that fight.
Can you imagine if this fight's a draw? Do they do a fourth one?
Dude, I heard someone
Like,
mention that this week.
What do you do?
Yeah, like what happens if it's a DQ from an eye poke?
Or no, just a straight up draw.
Or either one. It's the same problem. Yeah.
I think Stipe. I think DC retires if it's.
I don't think so. No, he won't. He won't do that.
You can't
He'll
retire.
absolutely do it again.
Yeah.
Let's do it again, brother, as they say.
Let's that out of it. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, I got DC by decision. I'm not really feeling good about it, but
You know what? I'm gonna take
What
DC.
about?
I'm gonna take DC as well. I think I have to take him via TKO in the first two, though.
first two, okay.
Well, just because I don't
Just because he exerts
have
all
faith.
his dominance to the ground, right, and then just goes ham.
No,
in the
I think
ground
I think his clinch game is going to work way better in a smaller cage, and I think his pressure game is going to work way better in a smaller cage. The problem being that I think he has 2 rounds worth of that in him, and then after that, it's a real fucking toss up. The other kind of factor is there's a lot of talk about Stipe, like Stipe and DC both not really training in actual gyms for this fight. Like, DC didn't really train at AKA the way he used to for this fight. Is the talk, at least from like what I've been hearing off the record kind of shit. In that, like, AKA is not open right now.
Yeah.
So that's been affecting stuff. Whereas Stipe's gym is a little bit more closed off, and it's in Ohio where they have a little more leeway. But I don't know, man. It'll be interesting. But yeah, I'm leaning DC. I mean, part of it is I like both these guys so much, but I just think if it wasn't in a small cage, I would be picking Stipe in this fight, to be honest. I just think the small cage favors DC in such an important way that actually, I just realized the small cage is going to force exchanges more, which might make DC more tired faster.
Either way,
I didn't really think about that till right this second.
the odds are pretty much dead even at 111
They have to be,
across
right?
the board.
Yeah.
The one odds I was gonna read, it was like minus 115 to minus 106 DC advantage, but I'm gonna call them dead even. I'm gonna call it.
Yeah.
The odds are minus 111 dead even.
I mean, you figure it has
that's
to
what
be.
it's 115. It's dead. This fight's dead even.
Yeah.
So
And
that's fine.
rightfully so. But either way, I'm really excited for a lot of these fights on this card. I think the Marab fight is going to be fucking either super fun or super frustrating. I think actually a lot of these fights are either. I guarantee you, Marlon Vera versus Sean O'Malley is going to be a goddamn blast. There's no way that fight isn't fun. Like, those two dudes cannot put on a boring fight if they tried. And I would also say, keep an eye on Lavinia Hinata Souza and Verna Jandiroba to put on a fucking show. I think both of them are going to have pretty big standout performances against their opponents if they are able to find success. So, yeah, man. I think it has potential to be a fun card, but it also has potential to be kind of a slog. So, we will see. A lot more finishes than normal on our picks, though, this week.
Yeah. Should be an interesting one.
I agree. Cool, man. Well, we will go ahead and wrap this here. But Chris, did you have anything else you wanted to give a shout out to before we get out of here?
One last motion. They keep marketing as whoever wins is the heavyweight GOAT. Even if DC wins, he's absolutely not the heavyweight GOAT. I like his
neither
story
of
a
them
lot.
are, right?
You can have a better case for Stipe because at least he
Better
has
case.
the most
It's
title
still
defenses.
Fedor.
But still Fedor. Let's just get that out of the way. DC, I'm looking at his record like, who is he really beating at heavyweight? I mean, he beat.
To be fair,
Bigfoot,
no, he's beat
he
some
Frank
big
Mir.
names.
Yeah, and he won the Strikeforce Grand Prix. Like, that's
Josh
very
Barnett.
respectable.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah, not
Stipe, I
not
think
Stipe
it's
level.
more impressive though. Like Francis Ngannou. I mean, nowadays, like, dude, you beat Ngannou. Like,
well, it
Ngannou,
isn't
like,
shit compared to.
Yeah.
It's not shit compared to the wins that Fedor has over that run.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
Like, and the best argument against Fedor's run is the shitty Fujima cut on the eye, which
I'll
like
take-
fucking
I'll
okay,
take
bro.
Stipe's
Like,
wins over Ngannou, JDS, Alistair, Fabricio, even Arlovsky and Hunt. That's just more credence to me. Like, the DC's
Yeah.
still great, but that's so fucking impressive.
Yeah, no, 100%. And
Especially a prime Ngannou who's still killing everyone.
yeah,
And I would, spoiler alert, still take Stipe over Ngannou right now. Would surprise me because we know Ngannou can knock anyone out. Ngannou can knock John Jones out. You know?
yeah.
Would they
I
ever
mean,
fight? Probably not.
No,
John
John
Jones,
Jones will
pretending
never
he wants to fight him,
Francisco
but
Ngannou.
no.
Francisco? That was a weird one. Francisco Ngannou, you know,
Oh.
the San Francisco tree.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, on that note, we are out of here. But you guys can find us on our website, thesoundofviolence.com. We have the full show notes for all the shows we're talking about. try and link everything. If there's anything we did not link, let me know and I'll link it and send you the direct info for all that stuff. You guys can always find us on Twitter. I am at TSOVPod. And Chris checks that as well, and he also has his own account at Chris Madaffer, Madaffer. Spelled that right?
Yep.
I always panic about the 2 D's, 2 F's thing. But Chris gives 1 D and 2 F's, you know what I'm saying?
I mean,
Okay,
yeah.
I apologize.
It's like, what are you guys, like 13 now?
100%. We're not even 13. We're turning 13 soon. Anyway. Yeah.
This is all a filter. A face filter, clearly.
That's right. We are fucking on
We're a bunch of squeakers.
Oh my god. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep on moving on. We will be back next week for what the fuck card is next week, Chris? You know?
I honestly couldn't tell you. Let's check.
Here, I got
Tapology.
you. If I go like this, and then I go like, oh my god, why can they not make this easier?
Looks like next week is Contender Series, and
Nope, that's Tuesday.
Actually,
Also, shouts out to ESPN for being a bunch of fuck boys who
it's
can't.
UFC Vegas 7, which is a stupid fucking. It's Pedro Munoz, Frank Edgar's next week.
Oh, okay, who else is on that card?
Let's
Main
see
card
here.
anyway. It stands out. Anybody?
OSP and Alonso.
Didn't that fight
Menifield.
just fall apart?
Okay, which shows up for? Oh no, this. Michelle Watterson was supposed to fight Angela Hill next week, but I think it just got moved 2 weeks later.
It
God damn
did, yeah. And Angie just.
So yeah, no, this
Figured
card's
it
not
out.
good. If I'm honest, it's really bad.
That's unfortunate.
Oh no, this is a really bad card. Wow.
Oh really?
Okay,
Okay, so drinking
you'll
game.
look at it and you're like, this. When Shayna Dobson is fighting someone in the
Oh
third fight up on an 8, that's
boy.
yeah.
Okay, we're doing some stuff. So you're saying severe drinking game next week on the
Or
show.
we can do a commentary with G6. Just kidding.
Ooh, yeah, maybe. I know G6 is in town. We can maybe. Well, we can
He's
maybe
down.
do that also, regardless on the side.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. But interesting. Well, on that note, I guess we will go ahead and call it for this week. But like I mentioned, you guys can always find the show notes, thesoundofviolence.com or sovpod.com. You can hit us up on Twitter, tsovpod. Send us an email, sovpod@gmail.com. Hit us up. Always, we appreciate and we appreciate all your recommendations for shows we're sleeping on, because there's obviously always more shows than we have time to listen to. So we appreciate the heads up if you like something, because there's always shows that I mean to get to, but I can't. And so if someone tells me, hey, listen to this, I always make an effort to. So if you have something you like throughout the week, please let us know. And I don't know, Chris, you got anything else before we get out of here for this big old UFC 252 pay-per-view card?
Not this card, but I will say that Davison Figueiredo fighting Cody Garbrandt is hilarious. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, shout out to Cody's agent, huh? Or manager, or whatever you want to call that.
His handler.
Yeah, whatever you want to call the con artist that currently lives in the U.S. and that the Nevada State Athletic Commission will not actively answer questions about. On that note, we are out of here, and we will see you all next week. But much love. And until then, go support your local brewery. And if you are in one of the 1,000+ places that has Black is Beautiful, the Weathered Souls Black Lives Matter collab, please go pick it up. It's a cool collab that they're doing with everyone across the country. I believe it's every single state, as well as a ton of countries and a ton of different breweries. Over 1,000 breweries throughout the world that's doing collabs with them. This one specifically I'm drinking is from North Park Brewing Company. And just a really cool project and for a good cause. So go support that. And if it's not around you, go support your local brewery. And we love y'all. We appreciate you being around. We'll see y'all next week. And so this is us signing off for episode 169. Nice. All right. On that note, we out of here. Go do something decadent. Light.
by the sound of violence.
Are you excited about it?